All right, I think we might be live. That means I should be on the cool screen. Whoa. All right, I think that's it. Let me just check and make sure that health is optimal by clicking other baffling white rectangles. And these white rectangles look good. Okay, hey, welcome everybody. Here we are. Let me push one more button. It's that one. Wait, no, there's another button to push. It's right here. Got it. Okay. Hey, everyone, welcome. This is another Harbinger game, only it will be hosted by none other than the master of bungling, Hanker Infernail. That's me. I'm going to be in the Dungeon Master's chair. And that means I need to crack open this tall can. And I have some very esteemed players who have sat with me in the chair of battle before. And of course, Drake, who sat in the Dungeon Master's chair last time. We're going to get to all those introductions. We're going to play some Harbinger. If you haven't seen where all this began, it started with the Ghost in the Machine sessions. There was 2 sessions interrupted by a alien transmission that broke us up. And it actually wound up being perfect because it was like 2 episodes of Bonanza. They just went together, and we came out of it sort of feeling a bit of an ending, but the more that the next few days passed, I just said to myself, no, that's not the end. And this is where the sort of the Save Murph craziness came from. And within a few more hours, my OCD was kicking in, and I had to continue this storyline. I had to continue what Drake had started. So that's what we're going to do tonight with these 3 awesome players. And after we do our little get-go here, we will do our introductions. But for the moment, let's just set the scene where we left off last time, because like all good sequels, we are going to start at the very instant, the very second that we left off last time. So the crew of the Honey Badger had just narrowly escaped a massive explosion out in uncharted space, somewhere between some backwater moons, where Horus, who's this sort of Astra-addicted weirdo, had led the crew on an investigative trip that wound up in disaster. Now, the story will be told in taverns on different moons in different ways, but the summary was, after encountering some kind of horrible experimental life forms, the crew barely escaped with their skins sacrificing their air conditioning maintenance robot to blow the engine on a derelict space station. Now, when this happened, and they managed to get away in an abandoned Scrug shuttle going back to their ship, the Honey Badger, the whole thing blew to bits, which is pretty normal when it comes to space adventures. But in this particular case, a strange reaction of red Astra in high saturations and the yellow Astra engines of this ship, this old station, combined into something that none of us had ever seen before, which was orange Astra. We all know the color wheel. It's just as weird in space as it is when you're in 4th grade. And a new color of this strange energy that actually seems to become more and more common in the moons of Bastion in recent times was basically discovered. Now, as those moments unfolded, and Horus, who had barely survived, our Mancer, slumping down in the airlock of the Honey Badger as we came out of the Scrug shuttle, was sort of overtaken. I mean, he had basically dropped in combat, was completely overwhelmed with this red Astra explosion. And in my imagination, in our imaginations, I think we saw that him, particularly as a character, was sort of overwhelmed by this experience. Not to mention the fact that my character, Murph, had been vaporized, and Dakota, Jake's character, had managed to salvage the AI chip that makes Murph Murph at the last possible second. Now, as we rejoin the adventure, Horus is still slumped over in that airlock. And for the sake of moving things forward quickly, at that moment, Dakota runs back up to the bridge, knowing that time is of the essence. These AI chips degrade very quickly. puts it into the console in the Honey Badger to get some kind of a, is this going to work? I know in his mind, in her mind, I mean to say, in her mind, knew if we just hustle enough, we can get another chassis built, we can have our air conditioning robot back, and like, by golly, we're going to hear that soundtrack again. So he runs up to the console, puts the chip into the console. There's a long pause. Horace wakes up for a moment, comes up. Is Murph still there? Is Murph still there? I don't know. The computer seems to be lagging out. Before you can get a good read on exactly what has happened to the chip, the computer overtakes the processes and you hear a crackly voice. What the fuck are you doing? A bunch of red lights come onto the console and the systems, the whole ship system's auto recall function kicks in. All helm control is lost. This ship is returning to its captain, completely out of your control. You do get a small readout that says ETA 3 days. You try all the controls, you push all the buttons, nothing's, it's completely in recall mode. You have no, what is this? But after the blip is gone, the chip analysis continues. Both Dakota and Raven are sitting there with holding their breath as our friend Thamos takes off in the Scrug shuttle off to find his own destiny. They look. A little yellow bar that normally would fill its little empty yellow rectangle fails to do so. Comes up reading 0%. No data. Chip erased. A few days pass. The gravity of this realization is quite troubling. Murph was a close friend to these crewmates. A good soul, though an artificial one. And as the next 48 hours unfold, the ship gets unbearably hot. The whole life control system is going haywire. There are vines growing on the hyperdrive. Like this is a bad situation. The Honey Badger pulls into its backwater moon. Captain Reeves, who will be played by Drake Warren this evening, comes back onto the ship in whatever mood he chooses to be in. And that, my friends, is where we're going to begin the adventure this evening. The final detail as the three of you meet again on the bridge. Remember, we're 5th level characters here. You guys have been through some shit already together. When you meet on the bridge, the last detail you notice is this is a pretty bad moon. I mean, you know, Captain Reeves is known to hang out in some dives, but this one's pretty bad. You see a sort of a cracked out street kid run off from the ship. Your first thought is, oh man, junkers. They're picking at the landing gear. But it isn't Junker at all. He's a graph artist. And on the side of the Honey Badger, he has spray painted, "Save Murph." And he runs off. And with that, starting with you, Jake, could you gentlemen please introduce yourselves?
Hey, internets, it's Jake, better known as Mini Terrain Domain, MTD. And I'm excited to play in this continuation of what was Ghost in the Machine and is now Soul in the Stars, and to be playing under the DM guiles of Hankerin. I'm super excited for this and to play with these fine gentlemen as I'm playing the Treader Reaver Dakota Raven.
Jeff?
Hello, everybody. I'm Jeff Doty here. YouTube channel and Counterbalance. Go ahead and check that out if you feel the need to. I am, as Jake is, very excited to get into this again. Can't wait to see what happens to our old dear friend Murph, if he's gonna make it or not. But I am playing Horace. He is a Mancer, and he is addicted to his Astra powers. He cannot control himself, and he likes to blow things up with them. And it nearly killed him last time, so we'll see if I can get near-death experience round 2 in this session.
Nearly killed everyone, I think is what you meant to say. Okay, Drake.
All right, guys, I'm Drake. I run the YouTube channel, The RPG Construct, and I'm also half of a RPG podcast with Jake here called Something RPG-ish. Just released our 8th or 9th episode today. So go to Podbean or iTunes to check that out on Something RPG-ish. It's actually really cool to have started this game and then someone picking up where we left off. It's one-shots are really tight. You don't get to do everything you want to do, but when someone else takes the reins and they kind of continue that story, it's just a great feeling. And I'm very excited to be a player. I'm going to be playing Captain Lou Reeves, a mechanist that is probably not going to be too happy that they took his ship from him in the last episode. So we'll see what happens.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. So I do this practice a lot, which is a way to get people back into their sheets. So since Horace and Raven have been through some serious shit, I have a couple of awards for you guys to jot down for your characters, since we're not really doing leveling or experience. But just because it's a play test, I can't accept that my players aren't going to evolve after being through what you've been through. So Horace, I wanted to get you a -1 Astrofade cost on anything red. Because of that red blast that you were in, you have learned to harness red power far better. So just take a 1 off the Astrofade cost on anything red. I want to specialize you into red as the Dungeon Master. The second one that I wanted to give you as a sort of a milestone reward is, as you had that 3 days to drift back to Captain Reeves on recall mode, all you could think about was that orange Astra. There shouldn't be orange Astra. It doesn't work that way. That's like an all-pink rainbow. The more you thought about it, you realized that the nature of orange in the scope of Astra power is chronological in nature. And in so meditating, you gain a new spell, which is called Rewind. And for 8 Fade, which is freaking insane, you can rewind any 1 turn using orange Astra. And more importantly, as a character in the story, you learn that orange Astra is the energy of time itself. And this is a realization that perhaps no other Mancer in the rings has but you. As for you, Raven, in counting your ammo, which I know you're prone to do, you're practicing down in the cargo bay with your air gun, as you often do, and learn an ability called Double Tap. With the Double Tap, you can fire 2 rounds with 1 trigger pull. This will let you do double damage, and you can place the shot without disadvantage. But to do this costs you 1 Fade. So it's pretty cheap. I'm trying to bring some Fade budgeting into the Treader. And then for Captain Reeves, I have one for you too, but you got to go through some shit. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive right in. And I'm just sort of following my hangout order. So Jake, the 3 of you meet up on the bridge as Reeves walks in. You've just noticed that this damn chip seems to be completely slagged. What will you do?
I've been agonizing over this chip for the entire 3 days, obsessing at the console, trying to get that little yellow progress bar to move. And even after realizing that the chip was slagged, it took almost another full day before I had the wherewithal to even pull the chip out of the slot. Raven now wears it on a chain around her neck, along with some old dog tags. I feel very heavy weight about the slagged chip, because I had assured Murph when I pulled his processor and sacrificed his body that we'd have him back in a new body in no time at all. And I may as well have, and all but did put the barrel of my gun to his little metal head and pull the trigger. So that's weighing very heavily on my shoulders. So I don't think I would immediately get up. I don't think I would be the first one to leave the ship.
Well, as this weight weighs on you, you keep staring at that damn empty progress bar. As you pull the chip out, you do notice there's a little bouncing signal. Looks like static, but pulling the chip out starts to initiate it. And the ship's radio is just reading this kind of, as you're sitting there going, what have I done? Horace?
Horace is kind of sitting there as Dakota's just fidgeting with the computer, just nonstop. Horace is not super technical on the computer stuff, so he figures he'll do more harm to Murph than good by trying to help. But he's just it's actually in the same airlock that he's basically been lying in for the last 3 days. He's barely gotten up and moved at all. But as he's sitting there in the hallway at this airlock just outside going to the door, he has one of his hands up in front of his face, and a small kind of bolt of red Astra is kind of going between his fingers. And then when it gets to his thumb, it turns from red to orange and then bounces backwards across his hand back towards the pinky. It just looks like it's reversing its motion, but it's actually reversing time itself, this orange Astra that he's discovered. And as he's just kind of playing with it, trying to figure out exactly how it might work, suddenly he realizes, kind of coming back to grips, that we've landed here. And he gets up slowly, just kind of trying to shake his head free of how deep in thought he was, and opens the door to a most certainly unhappy Lou Reeves outside. And before Lou could even say anything, he just says, "It's not what you think, I promise," but knowing that it probably won't actually affect anything.
Okay, so Captain, as you come up the gangplank, you see Dakota, your handy man-at-arms, no pun intended, fretting over the computer. Horace looking like he's just gone through the ringer coming up out of the airlock. It's a pretty ragtag group, and how will you react?
I think Lou would look at Horace. He's visibly angry. You know, the lines in his face are you know, he's kind of pursed up he's got a frown. You know, he's still wearing those sunglasses though. But you guys know that look. You've seen it before. And as you say to him, it's not what you think. He walks right up to you, nose to nose, pulls off the glasses, stays nose to nose, says, "Well, then why don't you tell me what it is?"
Just as Reeves walks up and takes off his sunglasses, which never happens. This is like Jack Nicholson taking off his sunglasses. This is not good. Somebody's about to get beat. At that moment, the crackling from the console kicks up one little notch. Bioform friends? Can anyone hear me? It's your old friend. I'm not programmed to feel fear, but I'm definitely afraid. I'm trying to send a tracking beacon, but I'm not really programmed for this.
Why do I hear Murph coming out of the computer? Would someone like to explain that to me?
Shut up. And Dakota holds a hand up back at you. I'm just holding my hand back. Shut up. And trying to fine tune Murph. It's starting to just on the fine tune controls for the frequency, trying to dial that frequency in.
Excellent. Give me a tech check on a 13 and let's get these dice rolling.
Let's see.
Miss Raven?
I rolled a 13. That's a plus 2, 15.
Ah, fantastic. So you managed to twiddle just the right dial. And, this is a worn out universe. So all the numbers are gone off this stuff. So you're thinking clockwise is probably better. And you guess right this time. With doing so, the console manages to grab the signal. And indeed, Murph has somehow managed to put a tracking beacon into this signal. And in refining the console signal, you get a bead on the exact location, which you can see there in the sort of center left. And there is an object in the ammonia clouds of Bastion 1 that is the origin of this transmission. The very gas giant. Something is in the outer sort of atmosphere of Bastion 1, and that is the origin of the transmission. You figured that out. And that kind of brings us to kind of Horus's action, really.
And seeing the map kind of pop up on the system, the radar from where this transmission is originating from, he just kind of turns his head over towards Dakota and Lou, just like, why the heck is Murph's signal coming from the outer layer of Bastion? Expecting somebody else to somehow know, because he has no idea what the heck is happening.
Could someone tell me why Murph isn't on my ship? Could someone tell me why there were 4 people and now there's 2 and my ship is damaged? Before we go on some wild goose chase, maybe you can tell me what the fuck happened.
First of all, Lou, Captain, I would like to gently remind you that my name is on the transponder, that my funds paid for this slag heap, though you're the captain, and give kind of a salute that you're probably used to. We ran into some trouble. You would have been here with us if you hadn't have been so deep into your drink when we left.
Did you go out looking for trouble, or did it find you?
I don't have to look for trouble. I
Yeah.
don't try. I don't try. It just finds me.
It was my fault. There was this weird Astra cloud, just massive yellow Astra. I had to see what the heck it was. And he goes to kind of like lift up an arm to point at you, and then kind of like, as he's still trying to recover from how annihilated that he was.
So what was it? I don't think a yellow astro cloud ate 2 of my crew.
I don't know.
Well, normally this is where I would have Murph play back hollow projections of any footage captured. But as you've already noticed, Murph isn't here and is apparently here pointing at the console and that location. So now that you are here, why don't you put your ass there in that seat and get us moving?
As you guys continue to argue, the infamous Honey comes back online, and you hear her holographic voice overhead through the strange PAs, which definitely need an upgrade, saying, "Anomaly identified in air conditioning system, rectifying." And suddenly it drops to about 25 degrees Fahrenheit in the cabin of the ship, then back up to 95 about 3 minutes later as you guys continue to flip each other off. Then it drops back down to 22. And she commensurately commends herself, saying, "Oh, yeah, atmospheric's nominal."
Look, you're trying to pinpoint this thing. I'm a hell of a lot better at this console than you. You get up. Let me see what I can figure out. But where's the other guy? Themos. What happened to him?
Everything was a blur when we left the research station, and he just took off.
I wish I could say that's the first time that's happened. Probably won't be the last. All right, let me sit down in this console. Let me see what I can do.
All right, great.
Locator.
So Reeves, let's get a nav check, and we're just going to stick with a 13 here to open things up. So let's get those bones rolling.
19.
Damn, what? So right away, you get a 5x5 tunnel straight to the object. But you do have one minor wrinkle. Is in the final hour of the 7-hour journey it's going to take to jump there. It's no easy thing to navigate those ammonia storms in the outer atmosphere of Bastion. So it's going to be an astrogation at the last second. You've got the nav nailed. Well done. But somebody's going to have to take manual stick there right at the last second and approach whatever this object is on manual stick. So you hit the green button with a 19 nav roll. You guys are underway. It goes from the tropics to freezing back and forth 40 more times in the next workday as you're on the deck. Each time Honey announcing how now power systems are 4% more optimal on the ship. That environmental control has been so well dialed in. So as you guys approach, you see the outer rings, and with that dope 19, Reeves has actually plotted this nice, big, wide banking curve. He's basically drifting the ship right around the outer rings, down into the open atmosphere, and you see the storms down below, massive rolling storms as big as planets. And down in there, there is a black object down in the clouds. And as you guys approach, the turbulence, I mean, going from vacuum into like ammonia clouds, this is sudden. This is like landing a plane. Boom, you hit the gas. The whole ship begins to shake. And who is our astrogator here?
I think that would be either Raven or myself.
That would be me.
So as the turbulence intensifies, Dakota, being a woman of action, sort of jumps forward and grabs the wheel. I think we've all had this happen in our lives. So we're going to bump it. So Dakota, let's beat a 14 on your astrogation. We're going to bump it 1.
Oh, shoot. With a +5, that's a 9.
Whew. So you reach forward and you're like, give me the wheel, damn it. Pull on the thing. You overcorrect and the ship begins to stall down belly toward this object. As you do so, not completely botching the maneuver, but definitely not making it happen. Where's my thing here?
Oh. I have advantage on astrogation checks.
All right, give it one more try.
I'm going to try to correct this mistake that I made. That's obviously Lou's fault, is he was eating corn chips or something and greased up the wheel. It's still pretty greasy. That's a 13 now.
So despite throwing one leg up on the console and pulling harder, all you managed to do is nose it up harder. The booty goes lower and the whole bank just falls more out of control. And you guys come through a thick yellow cloud to this scene, finally getting a visual on this object. Despite the size that it may seem, the thing is actually still several miles away. And as you rip toward it in the turbulence, you hear a sudden boom. Something solid has hit the ship. And at that moment, roll for initiative.
Oh, shit.
What do we got?
9.
6.
Okay.
15.
Got it. Okay, so Horace, you not really being engaged in this sort of battle over the controls, something solid not only hits the ship, but you can hear the sort of screaming bend of metal being ripped. And even though they're paying attention to the controls, the flight controls, you notice on another panel there, you have a hull breach on your hands. And let's get this D4 going. There's a 2. You realize in the span of 30 seconds, this hull breach is going to be bad enough that you're going to start losing atmosphere. So what will you do with your turn, sir?
Horace immediately jumps to his feet from off of his kind of slouch in the airlock, leaping up and just, guys, what the heck was that? And then as he kind of looks over, going down towards the direction of the sound, does he see anything that's entered into the ship, or is it just a hole? Like what exactly does he see as he kind of goes in that direction?
Currently, here's our layout. We have Horace coming in from the airlock, and we have Dakota and Reeves up at the controls. And you see on this sort of pillar here in the center of the bridge, that's where you're getting sort of hull breach readout. And as I mentioned, currently, nothing is sort of in, but the rip isn't complete. And that's that timing sense that you just had. Like, exactly what does that timer mean? That lives a little bit in meta game world. But you know that in a few moments, with air quotes, either the hull will start tearing apart or whatever hit you might find its way through.
Yeah, so Horace, kind of seeing the hole being ripped in, just kind of yells over to his 2 companions, yanking on the different plane controls. Guys, we're going to have company here pretty soon. You either got to get us landed somewhere, or we're going to have to deal with this. But it's not going to look good if we don't. And then he kind of begins to move towards where the hole in the ship was made, and is going to ready himself to see if anything comes through anything there. He's going to blast him to bits.
Okay, as you can see where I moved your little guy there, the hull rip is in the sort of the aft portion of this side window that you just moved over toward. So that takes us to Dakota.
Can I see? Looking at the, I'm looking at the instrument panels, trying to determine where Murph's signal is in relation to this gargantuan structure that we see before us, and hoping it's not going to tell me what I think it's going to tell me.
As you look closer, now within scanner range, within short scanner range, which is, quite advanced even in this shabby era, the signal is generalized across the entire pyramidal structure. There is no pinpoint.
I'm going to reluctantly release the controls that I wasn't doing so good with anyway, back to Captain Lou, and just point, we need to get to that. I think.
Okay, then that takes it to you, Captain. What'll it be? Now, Hank, I'm probably, a pretty experienced pilot myself. Would it feel like we were going through something? Would I see anything out of the cockpit? Like something is like we're going through some type of a force field or something like that? Or would it be just like something hit us?
Great. This is your ship. So give me a perception with advantage on ye old 14.
Ooh. Thank God. 1 and a 16. So I got a 16 on the second one.
So without even looking, you know that sort of odd squeaky clicking that comes when there's a hull breach. And you also know the way the ship kind of jogged to the left. Something solid hit the ship about 8 seconds ago. Okay. On the starboard side toward the rear of the bridge. Like you just basically deciphered what happened by kind of glancing around the bridge. So that takes a split second. So you still have your action remaining.
What I would say, I think he would stand up, and I think he would actually say to Dakota, he would actually motion for her to come back to take the controls, and he would say, "I can fix this." And he would run over to where the breach is with his arc tool, in hand, as a mechanist trying to seal this breach as quickly as he can using whatever is at his disposal.
Fantastic. So as you run over, Horace is already over there, basically kind of going, "Holy crap!" Not sure what to do. You run over, pull out the arc tool, and you do notice there is now a tiny visible rip down near the floor, and it is starting to hiss as air is sucked into it. And you get down on one knee, pull out your arc tool, and as you begin to work, the metal curls back, but not from the force of vacuum. Some little black tendril reaches up and bends the metal back slightly as you begin to try to weld. So let's see if you can buy one more click on my timer with your tech check on your arc tool. And remember, we're rocking a 14 right now. So if you can make the 14, I won't click my timer down 1 on my turn.
Critical fail.
So as you reach down, the arc tool slips out of your hand and is sucked out into the atmosphere of Bastion. And those things are, like 200 credits. Like those aren't free. So the arc tool slips out of your hand, and in this moment of horror, as you see it spin down into the ammonia and start to corrode out in this yellow atmosphere, you do get a look. There is some kind of a physical spine that is pulling at the metal and clawing inward toward the ship. I won't count the timer down any faster than normal, but your arc tool is gone. Whew! What a critical fail that was. So here's my timer. I'm going to go down to 1. And that gives you guys 1 round before this tear and whatever it is flies wildly out of control. So that brings us back to Horace.
So Horace kind of looking at horror as Lou tries to patch this hole and his tool just gets ripped from his hands and flying out into the atmosphere. Just what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? And then as he kind of looks towards the hole, his hands begin to glow red at first, as they normally do, and then he kind of like, no, that's not what I want to do right now. And then his hands shift as the red lightens into an orange color. And we're and he kind of thinks for a moment, trying to see if he has enough control to pull something like this off. And then just as his hands kind of flare out in front of him, the orange energy just whoosh, crashes out as he rewinds time 1 round.
So time goes backwards.
That'll put me 4 over my fade immediately.
Okay, great. So let's roll on that table and let's describe the shenanigans that unfold. It's like waking up and having a bowl of Cheerios thrown on your face.
So basically, Lou, as you kind of stand there seeing the tool rip out, the tendril kind of creeping in, suddenly almost just like rewinding a VHS tape, everything just starts to kind of crackle for a second. And then as this orange light expands into the rest of the room and through the crack, suddenly you see the tendril begin to recede and the hole begin to come back up. And you see your tool just almost fly back towards you, just with this strange, almost anti-gravity as it comes back into your hand. And as the ship kind of begins to reorient itself backwards through time, Horace immediately just falls backwards onto the ground. So his fate is reduced by 2, but he's stunned for the next round.
Okay.
As he basically, this is the first time he's ever used Orange Astra before. He had no idea that it would even work, and it just like clocked him harder than he thought it was going to.
Awesome. So mark down an inspiration for that unexpected insanity. And the odd thing about using Orange Astra to manipulate time is that everyone within a short range has perception that time was just rewound. So they remember the previous occurrence of what happened, and the rewind. And that is the strange thing about being close to this orange Astra. So as we go back, I've already pulled my dice back up to 2. And Captain Reeves, once again, you find yourself squinting oddly and beginning to work to try to fix this thing. Let's roll that tech check again on a 14.
15.
There it is. Okay, so we'll buy you one.
Okay.
So you managed to repair it a little bit, actually burn off a little piece of this claw or spine that's gouging into the steel. But that's all you can do. You stitch one end closed and the vacuum is already too much. It's pulling too hard. There's no arcing a thing closed that's this wide. And you kind of step back and turn off the tool. That was weird. And oddly enough, that brings us back to Horus, who now loses a round because he's blasted unconscious by the Astra use. Is that correct, Jeff?
So he's stunned, so he's aware, but can't move.
Wow. So you just sort of, in a weird way, like traded a turn for a turn that never happened. This is absolutely insane.
Basically.
So instead of on my turn, me clicking down, I think I remain at 2. So you guys bought exactly 1 round with the whole thing, right? No, you bought 2 because we had rewind and the successful arc tool. So I stay right here, and that brings us to Dakota Raven. So you feel this, Jake, and you see this kind of Doctor Strange moment happen, but the hull is starting to vibrate terribly. What will you do?
Yeah, I think right off the bat, I'm just like, whoa, deja vu. Wait a minute. And I'm not even going to try to address it. I don't have time to address it. Lou is dicking around in the back. A quick glance over my shoulder, and for some reason, Horus is laying on his back. And all I know is the ship starting to shudder. Something hit us, and we need to get to that thing. So I'm going to firewall the throttle, just and try to make a run for the big structure.
Whoa. Okay. Well, let's do the exact same check then. So it's another astrogation, not navigation, on ye old 14, and let's see if you can basically make a beeline to contact.
With advantage, that's a 17 plus 5 is 22.
Oh man, awesome roll. So you have it, and let's remember this 3 right here, and let's see how fast you can pull this thing into the object. And the confluence of the 2 should be rather interesting. So the time of the course you have plotted exactly coincides with this sort of rip tearing apart as the gods of dice would of course have. I mean, what else could happen? So you've got it, but you're occupied, at least for the moment, holding on to the stick. And with that, we go to Captain Lou Reeves, who is basically staring out into the ammonia storms. And what will you do?
What do I see down that hole?
Well, to one side, this metal is being pulled at. There's no mistaking it. It is not just vacuum pushing it, or maybe an asteroid. You've seen all those things. There is something grabbing and pulling at the metal, but it's outside the hull. So without sticking your head out, there's no quite seeing what it is, but you can see all to your left. Here, let's get back to our map. So all to your left there, going up that starboard window area, it is under the floor there, and the floor is buckling outward, being in like a jerky motion. Like there is something actively working on the hull.
Okay. Would it be possible through some type of a tech, if you'll allow it, to do some type of a technical quick rewiring to put some type of a electric or power charge to the outside of the hull?
Ah, the old Captain Nemo.
Something along that lines. Could I roll for something like that?
Definitely. 14's on the table, so get your Tech 14 out, and let's see if you can jerry-rig the wires hanging out of the rip.
It's a 13. Nope.
13. So take 1 damage as you grab a live wire.
Wait, you're playing.
And although the live wire is dangling now, you don't manage to get any kind of functioning repellent working. So with that, that is around to me. And I'll click down to 2. So 2 is both serving as our hull rip timer and our crazy nosedive toward the object timer. And that will bring us back to Dakota, or back to Horace, actually. Horace?
All right. So Lou didn't manage to get this thing charged up, but did he get any sort of wiring set up? Because I might be able to charge it.
He's just got like a big ground hanging out and a big live wire. If you ever worked on like a bad starter in your Dodge van, he's got those same 2 wires like dangling around, kind of arcing and touching here and there. But he just couldn't get the work finished.
All right. So kind of seeing as all kind of the stress of the situation is coming in, he's knocked himself silly for a moment, and they're diving towards this unknown object, and strange creatures trying to break into their ship. He kind of just settles back on his fallback, which is his Astra, and he puts his hands out towards the hole in the ship, and you see from the 2 dangling wires of Lou's hands, the kind of sparks of electricity, kind of as they spark out, kind of turn into green. And as they kind of shower out, the kind of floating different electric particles that have now frozen and turned green kind of rush towards the hole in the wall as he casts Particle Wall over the hole, kind of using the Particle Wall to patch it up and try to buy them some more time.
Oh my gosh, that's brilliant. Okay, so now with Particle Wall,
way over my fate already.
this is a physical barrier, right?
Yeah, so it's made of green Astra of light, but it cannot be physically passed through.
Wow, fantastic. Excellent play.
And
So
I
you
have
cast
some
this wall into place and you're holding it. Being an awesome Mancer, probably pushing a Mancer to places it was never intended. Fantastic there. And Dakota, you see this scene unfolding. What will you do?
Real
The
quick,
controls are set.
I have to roll on my Astra Fade too.
Oh, okay.
So as the green Astra kind of comes up in this wall over the in front of the hole, suddenly parts of it again begin to kind of, not the whole thing doesn't change, but parts of it kind of flicker orange again as that latent energy is still overwhelming him. And he actually just completely tenses up and freezes and falls back onto the ground. He's paralyzed.
So does your cast hold?
Probably not, actually. I think it's a concentration.
I think Particle Wall is concentration. So if your Astra Fade is going to give you a pass out.
Yeah, it's concentration. So the green actually, it begins to form. It looks like it's going to hold, and then immediately just kind of bursts into these kind of sparks of green. And Horace immediately again just falls onto his back. And for the next round, he's going to be paralyzed.
Wow. Well, you wanted to
his
overclock a Mancer. I think you've found the point.
We're doing it.
Awesome. Okay, Dakota, you see Horace go down again with a fizzle of green energy attempting to patch this hole.
What the hell is going on back there as I'm fighting this firewalled controls and trying to just hold it steady? And I'm looking right over my shoulder at Lou. I'm like, get a hold of the situation, Captain. And I think I would just kind of point in the general direction of where the table is. That's all that is normally used, almost like a combination dining table, place to play poker, place to like a ready room kind of thing. Rip that damn thing up if you have to.
Okay. Well, that brings us back then to Captain Lou. It's getting a little hairy. What will you do?
Well, I don't think I had enough time the first try to get these wires attached to the hull. I'm gonna try it again.
All right, let's beat that 14.
All right. That is a 21 with pluses.
Woo!
Rolled a 19.
Not bad. So you managed to just, if you guys have ever done any MIG welding, it's basically a metal glue gun. You managed to just start spider webbing this messy arc tool all over the place and just be like, I don't know what I'm doing here. Hey, here's an old notebook. I don't use this anymore. Let me just burn these wires into here. Kind of start making a mess and manage to patch the hole. So when it comes back to me, I'm now only counting down on our nosedive. So we're to 1 there. And you can hear this crazy ravenous scratching outside this sort of slag, messy patch you've created. There's still some atmosphere being loosed, but I think you guys have actually sort of beaten the whole rip puzzle, to speak in meta terms. And so now it gives us this one brief moment. So the next moment that you look up, you see the surface of this colossal object is suddenly terribly close. It's a lot like the sort of the skydiving moment. You know, you're looking at your altimeter, and then you look down to the ground and it's like right frickin' there. So you have this moment, this is rushing toward you, and Dakota has executed this maneuver. It's not really a landing so much as a sort of an arrow shot. And the closer you get, you notice there are small cavities and trenches and openings of different levels of illumination all through the surface of this thing. It's probably 4 miles on a side. And as you go ripping in, you guys all look up through the windows with about 6 seconds to spare. So that'll give you one more round of action. So we begin with Horace, who wakes up. Or is this your pass out round?
He wakes up at the start of this turn. So
Okay, great. Thank God. Otherwise you'd be ragdolling.
seeing us just kind of barrel towards this object, whatever it is, and getting the feeling that this may not be the comfiest landing, Horace is just gonna, without even necessarily having the energy to get up and move, is just gonna crawl towards a table that's kind of like bolted into the side of one of the into the walls of the ship, and just try to grab onto it while still lying on the ground.
Just bracing yourself. Okay, Miss Raven.
I am going to try to steer the ship towards one of these holes that looks like it's at least bigger than our ship, the Honey Badger.
Okay, let's go for one more check then on this 14 before it gets bumped again. So do your astrogation. This is probably the most stick yanking you've done in a while.
I'm just going to let that one sit there.
Yeah, let's just move on from that.
That is a 15 plus 5. That is a modified 20 on the astrogation check.
Beautiful. So you Millennium Falcon that shit sideways, managed to line it up with this narrow slot, and you get that sudden vertigo and terror of approaching a solid object at high speed. But you are going to cheese wedge it into a hole. So that is better than just hitting a flat surface nose forward. So as you just rip into it, it's a great scene to imagine, like it's approaching the glass and you're just holding on to the stick. So Lou, you're back there by the rip. What will you do?
I think at this point I would be so focused on this tear, even though it looks like I kind of rigged it to make it work. I think I would continue to be working on that hole, knowing that she was at the controls, seeing Horace, continually falling over, and just kind of shaking my head at him here we go again. This is something we've seen quite often. And I would just really be focusing on that hole.
So as you basically are bracing it, the whole place is vibrating. As you're doing so, it's not that well made. You're still losing some atmosphere. This little black tentacle spine thing, kind of like if you've ever touched a sea urchin, that kind of a feel. It's kind of bristly, scrubby kind of feel. This one little piece managed to slip through one of the gaps in the plate that you're trying to cobble together and just barely touches your finger. And in that instant, you have a sort of a mental bomb go off, a sort of flash in your head. And you see this old man sitting by a fireplace. And then you see this sort of bizarre tangle of triangles out in deep space and snap back into the moment again. And at that instant, the honey badger slams into this object. Now it manages to wedge itself in one of these illuminated sort of crevices. And as you make impact, you don't, just straight arrow into a target thanks to Raven's efforts. You kind of grind to a stop down this narrowing corridor, and the hole in the hull stops hissing atmosphere. You're in some kind of artificial atmosphere as you penetrate this chasm. And you can hear movement outside the ship. And where the front of the ship has impacted this chasm, it's peeled away most of the glass and the canopy of the whole nose of the ship. The ship is basically sort of an open front, almost like how a drop ship opens up when it sort of peels apart. And inside, you can see this sort of magenta, stone-like metallic surface. And within just a few seconds, out of nowhere, these creatures emerge to meet you. They come flying forward out of the object, out of these triangular corridors in this confusing architecture that isn't even really seem like it's meant for human traversal. And they are directly approaching the nose of the ship. The nose of the ship is slammed right into what feels like a sort of a flat surface. So here where Dakota is holding on for dear life right here, we're going to move her forward into our next map. And we're going to keep our initiative order. So Dakota sort of slams forward onto this walkway. Horace and Reeves nearby. And the first of these chrysalids is coming around this walkway here on Dakota's right. So if you guys can see where Reeves and Horace are, that's where the honey badger is jammed into this corridor. Does everything make sense spatially?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So this is my turn. So in that turn, this first chrysalid appears and immediately just zeroes Dakota, who's at the bridge of this wrecked nose of this ship that's torn open now. And I think it moves up, but on its turn is not in range. It started sort of here, came flying up, and is coming right at you, Dakota, as we go to Horace's turn.
And so Horace kind of pushing himself off the ground, just kind of limp from the rattling of the ship through the tunnel. He was just trying to hold on. He wasn't strapped in or anything, so he got a little bit beat up in the transfer. Just kind of seeing Dakota's kind of flung out in front, just pushes himself to his feet and begins to kind of run over towards her just to see. And then as he kind of gets up into the cockpit, seeing this thing rush towards her, almost instinctively, just not even taking the time to stop and think, presumes these to be hostile. And just as he holds up one hand, it begins to glow with the red energy that everyone else has seen so much from him. And this thing's going to need to make a dex save.
Okay. Let's see. Got it? All right. 2 on these bad boys. Sitting on a 14.
That will not make it.
All right. You got some damage for me?
I got a lot of damage for you. 29.
Good
Fire
grief, man.
As just this solid beam of red just rushes from his hand, pulsing out as this just straight beam of red just erupts from his hand, kind of bursting out, wrapping around this thing as the red Astra burns it.
So these things come rushing out from their bizarre place they dwell. And this sort of one in the front, as it's whipping and skittering, you sort of blow half of this upper carapace to bits. And as you do so, the inside of it, you can see, starts to interlace with little tendrils and fingerlings that start to try to re-stitch it back together. But you've blown this massive hole in the sort of what you could consider the head, I suppose, if you can call that a head. All right, well done. So we go on to Dakota Raven.
So am I correct in understanding that where I am, I got thrown clear, like I was tossed over, ejected from the cockpit?
I don't think ejected, but I think basically the controls and the nose of the ship have been kind of banana peeled.
Okay. And then this thing that was approaching me, is this the one he just blew apart?
Yeah.
Is it still moving toward me, or does it look like it's dead?
No, it is. I mean, it is messed up, but it is still coming strong.
Oh, well, in that case, I didn't spend 3 days of this journey under autopilot practicing for nothing. I'm going to pull my favorite handgun from its holster, and as I bring it up to bear, looking for the most sensitive spot I can find to place this double tap.
Yeah. There you go. So hit that armor class, which on this guy is a 16.
So that's just one attack roll for the 2 shots?
Correct.
Basically. All right. That is a, let's see, I get a +6 on that. So that is a 17.
That's a hit
on that double tap. And that is going to be, oh, come on. I rolled a 1 on the damage die. That is 4 doubled, so that would be 8 damage still to it with my 2 bullets from this.
So I'll give you an extra 2 for the placement. Yeah. It just goes right into one of those weird little pink eyelets that you can see there. So you pop one of those little gel balls that form its eyeballs. So he takes 10. Pretty low, though, for what you can do.
Yeah, I rolled a 1 on the damage die.
Is that your turn?
That's right. Yeah, I think I'm not going to move. I'm just going to scan the rest of this area looking for any more movement.
Great. Do a perception on a 15. We're up to a 15 now on the table. It's getting weird.
Let's see. That's wisdom. That's a 12.
So you look around and you do gather what this scene can give you. But, whoa.
Shadows.
As far as useful details, nothing new.
All right.
My guardians.
Yeah, that's gonna be my turn then.
Okay, all right, Captain Lou. So you've got a little hairy on you here. This isn't a cheap ship.
Yeah, I think Lou would just kind of look around and just be like, again, more, just kind of muttering to himself, just really perturbed that they're in having problems again. And he would reach it into his pack at his back. He would pull out 2 things. The first thing he would pull out is his gun, is his large scatter gun, and he would also pull out a kind of a metallic sphere that's kind of like emanating this kind of blue astra, and he's going to throw it at Raven, and it's going to hover right over her left shoulder, and it's going to bathe her in this what looks almost like a skin of this blue astra. Raven is going to now be able to roll a D8 and add that to her AC while this spheroid is there. I'm basically going to deploy a defensive spheroid as my bonus action, and then I am going to go out towards her with the scattergun, and I am going to attempt to blow a hole in this creature. And that's a natural 1.
So up against the AC 16.
Natural 1.
Oh!
Yeah. The dice love me tonight.
So what happens when you roll a 1 and you're trying to shoot a scattergun in an alien object?
I would imagine that he was very excited that he got to use this spheroid, and he throws it on there, and he's protecting Raven, but he's so focused on this creature that he trips over some of the rubble and wreck from this thing, falls prone forward right at Raven's feet, and the gun slides several feet in front of him.
Great. So in all my games, I do this mechanic. It's a little evil, but sometimes it's funny. Roll another d20, and on a 1, you have what I like to call a blunder.
14.
Okay, yeah. So this is just something I always like to do, which is that 2 1s in a row is where you like shoot your friend or, fall off the edge or, it's like the extreme fail. So I always like to do those because that second one can be a little tense, especially after you've done a few of them. Like you really learn to dread it. So hell of a go, but came up short. That brings it back to my turn. Oh boy, this can't be good. So we have the Chrysalic lunges forward, and Dakota is still right at the prow of things right there. So it has, moving forward, has these whips out in front of it. And these whips are coiling and fast moving, and they're also barbed. And as they come whipping out toward Dakota, really fast moving, it's just going straight for her throat with these things. So these are 6 on the rolls, and there's 2 of them. So here we go. Let me get my dice camera back up.
According to the spheroid rules, I can activate the spheroid at any time.
Yeah.
So seeing these things coming at me, I'm absolutely activating its AC boost, and I just rolled an 8 on the D8.
Woo! Okay, well, my first roll was a 13 modded.
Well, I have an AC 22 now.
Yep, and my second roll is the nat 1, so let's roll for a probably the first ever Chrysalic blunder in Harbinger. Okay, got a 7, so it doesn't whip itself in the eye with its own barbed tentacle. So as it misses, well done, this Astra field helping deflect all these whips coming around you. I'll get that guy on the table. That's purely meta. You have no idea what that is. And that goes to Horus.
So Horus, kind of seeing these barbs kind of strike out and being deflected by this blue Astra shield, just kind of looking over at Dakota, just like, what the heck are these things? And then kind of coming up around the side of her, so that he's can see a clear view of this thing, but not her necessarily. And as he puts up another hand, another flare of red streaks out, and it needs to make another dex save.
All right. I'm 2 on those, so here we go. I'm sitting on an 11. That's a fail, right?
That is a fail.
All right, give me all them damages.
17 fire damage.
Whoo, lordy lord, you're a fountain.
As another streak of just a solid beam just rushes, appearing through the air as Red Astra kind of streaks out, just casting a red glow across the creature and the faces of his friends who are nearby.
So with that, you blow a few of its sort of, if you can call those legs, blow a few of those off. And that kind of armless torso, check a chunk out of that too. But the thing is still struggling forward. And it does not bleed. It just has less mass. But it is still trying to scrape forward to reach you. But there's no juicy bits in this thing. It's made out of something else. All right. That brings us back to Miss Raven.
Suddenly remembering herself, she remembers that she's faster than this, and she actually gets 2 attacks. I only took 1 attack last time. But I'm going to use a bonus action to engage my energy weapon. So I think with Horus already kind of filling the air with Astra surges, it's almost like an errant surge of Red Astra just seems to kind of shoot through the air right toward Raven's gun. and you would see it just kind of dance over the gun and just shoot into the barrel, infusing all of my handgun attacks with red Astra damage for the next hour. Unfortunately, that does put me over my fate limit by 1. Now, do I roll that on that? Do you want me to roll on that now since I activated the Astra, or after the attacks?
Go ahead and do your attacks first. That's how Horus has been doing it. So deliver your effect and then deal with your consequences.
So I'm going to take 2 shots, one at each of these, because there's 2 of these creatures there, right?
No, there's just the one in the in the sort of the front.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, then I'm just going to take 2 shots at this thing. The first shot is going to be a 13.
That's a miss.
The second one is a 19.
And a hit.
Second shot's a 19.
You got 1 hit.
So then that is going to be a total of 13 damage, with 5 of that being red Astra.
All right. With that shot, with that shot, blow what's left of this thing's head to pieces with a revolver shot that is worthy of a Tarantino film. And the thing drops. And as it slumps down and slides across this walkway, because it's right there. If you look at the map, like this thing is sort of right at your feet. Right. Like you just basically tapped it right as it's sliding toward you. You see that even though there's not much left of it, these little tiny black tendrils are starting to reach out toward each other and grab each other and pull. And it's starting to try to reassemble itself, but it's a very slow process. But the thing is dead for the moment. But you've never seen anything quite like this. And excellent turn there. So Lou, you see this whole thing going before you really even reached the nose, and that brings it to your turn.
I did roll my Astra Fade on that.
Oh yeah, what do we got there?
I actually rolled after I take that shot, the Astra kind of dances across the gun and shoots up her arm and across her face, and actually heals a couple of cuts and abrasions from the crash. A nice little positive benefit from that Astra Fade.
Awesome. Okay, Lou, that brings it around to you.
Well, last round I kind of tripped and fell on my face, and the gun basically at Raven's feet. So I'm probably a little bit further out than we are now. Those little tendrils are probably right near my head as they're kind of pulling. I think I would stand up, grab the scattergun, and take aim directly at those little tendrils, because they are still moving, and just with the scattergun kind of point blank range.
Awesome. That's a coup de grace. So you use the round just to blow the thing to atoms. And so it's beyond regeneration. You just blow it to mist.
And the other thing that I would do once that's dead, I would take another one of those spheroids. This one's going to have green Astra surrounding it, and I'm going to toss it towards Horus. Again, just hovering over his left shoulder. He is going to have a healing spheroid there.
Nice. And he can activate that at his choosing, right?
I believe so, yes.
Great. Okay, that brings it back around to me. So that little guy goes to 2. And as Jake was so astute to notice that this thing is actually sort of in the front of a sort of vanguard of these things that are coming up around the corners. So in a matter of moments, it's hard to tell exactly what they're targeting and how they see or smell or how they choose where they move. It's a little hard to understand their motions. You know that they'll probably sense you if that first one could. So you have a few moments here, as my timer in sort of meta space indicates. And we have this guy sort of off the map, deceased. So we have a few moments, and we'll bring it back around to Horus before the next wave of these things comes up around these walkways. So Horus, what will you do?
Horus, kind of seeing the remains of this one just get disintegrated by Lou's scattershot ground, seeing that they kind of have a moment, before more of these things presumably come. Just looks over to Dakota. Just, all right, master planner, what's the idea?
I'm sorry. At what point did this become my shit show?
You're the one who drove us here, flew us here. I figured you had something in mind.
Oh, us not dying in the vastness of space. What was the initial plan? Bonus convertible out of the deal. We'll figure that one out later, Lou? In the meantime, I got to think that was the Vanguard, and there's going to be a whole hell of a lot more of these things. I kind of like the high ground. What do you think, Lou?
Where are they going to need to? Tell me this, Hank. Do we have any? I mean, are there areas in here that we can get on top of something besides the ship? Are there, these in the map? Are there high points that we can all go to?
Yeah. So now that the three of you all together have taken a round, basically, all as a group here to assess, you get a better look at this room. Basically, your entire minds were just on this freaking thing that burst out at you. But with a brief moment, especially cooperatively like that, I kind of count that as a big perception check for the group. And so you do take a moment to look around, and these walkways are kind of elevated, and you can see down kind of in the gas far down below there are other ones. You're kind of inside an object, not really a place where you're meant to walk around, but there are walkable surfaces. And if you can see this light at the far end of the room here on the bottom left, there is a big triangular opening there on the far end of this particular cavity, which also is a large sort of triangular cavity. But all the walkways that you're seeing in the map here are kind of one layer. The next layer down, as the map is meant to imply, is a few hundred yards down. And likewise for the next one up. So you're in this sort of, almost like if you've ever, 3D printed something and tore it in half and you have that strange matrix on the inside. It kind of feels like that. There are these odd little struts and surfaces. And things are to scale here. So you have about a dash to the far end with a couple of breaks to exit this chamber.
Then I think Lou would just look at Dakota and look at Horace like, whatever we do, we can't stay here. See that light? Let's head over there.
Go into the light, Carol Ann.
Carol Ann, I thought you said don't go into the light. So Reeves, as you dash forward, because talking is, split seconds, so it still kind of gives you your action to start to lead the way. You do come to this edge here, and it is a sheer drop with, it's only a 5-foot gap there, but that is what's in front of you. So I would still consider it as sort of your action. What will you do?
Jump.
All right, let's get that dex check on that dirty 15.
Oh, 15? You bastard.
Yeah, that's where this dice camera is so evil, because look at
14?
Oh, missed it by 1?
Yeah.
So you go for the Hail Mary right across, come up short, do the belly flop, and manage to catch a couple of fingers in these sort of etching lines, if you guys can see those.
Mm-hmm.
Manage to catch a couple of fingers in there, and especially with your prosthetic arm, those metal fingers can dig right in, but you don't quite have purchase, and without someone helping you, you'll be helpless right there on that edge. And that comes to me, so I always like to have my camera up for that, so there we go. And then we go on over to Horace.
Horace kind of seeing Lou just leap for this next level and just not quite make it, just immediately begins to sprint after, and he's gonna try to make the jump as well, and hopefully will land on the other side and we'll be able to help him, but we'll find out.
Okay, same routine then. It's the 15 dex. Not an easy roll, honestly. You start with 13 and everything seems so fine. You go up 2 clicks and it's like hell.
Oh god, that's a 12.
So you go flying across. You don't have a prosthetic arm, so you don't catch any seams with your metal fingers. Wind up on the belt loops of Reeves. Dangling down, it's 200 yards down into a pyramidal abyss of partial ammonia and artificial oxygen. Woo, Dakota, that's your turn.
Oh my gosh. So I'm gonna run up to the edge there where I just saw these two fools leap, and for a moment I thought they were goners. I immediately start pulling off of the side of my pack is a tightly coiled length of rope fastened to the outside, and I'm going to the only thing I can do is try to fashion a harness or a loop or something that I can. It looks like Horace is the one of the two of them most in need of immediate rescue.
Awesome. So you pull your rope together, huck it down to Horace, manage yourself a quick belay, and let's do a strength check, but at advantage thanks to the rope, and that'll get Horace up on his feet on the far side.
Thank goodness. Now, we'll see. That's a 13.
Oh, that's with advantage?
Yeah. Yeah, the 5. I had a 5 on the other die.
And as a free action on his next round, he'll be able to use the rope. But for you trying to kind of force belay him from the far side, you come up short by 2. Whoo, Lordy, man, it never fails. A little gap and everything just goes to hell. All right, Captain.
I'm just going to try to pull myself up.
All right, let's get strength with advantage just like Dakota just did.
Okay. Oh, Jesus Christ. That's 10. Oh, wait. Hold on. Wait. Oh, wait. I have advantage. I forgot. 11.
So you're scrabbling. You're straight
Jesus.
scrabbling, and that timer isn't looking pretty. So if you'll recall from earlier, this little gentleman right here. So when that reaches 0, more of them emerge. So just so that I'm not terribly evil, I'm going to use my 1d6 kind of clockwise system to figure out where this thing sort of scrabbles up. The 6. So to me, a 6 is always about 10 o'clock. So it comes out on this platform, appears, and then for his move, well, he's going to have to make all the same moves. So he'll do the 2 to make the jump. Nice. There's a 19 up. But he's not going to make the second jump. So he stops right here, and he's like seething, basically. That brings us back to Horace. I don't want to do 2 jumps in a round. That just seems ridiculous.
All right, so a question here. It's going a little bit outside of the mechanical bounds of the spell, but maybe you'll allow it. If I were to put a particle wall attached to the platform underneath our feet, could we use that to try to get some extra leverage to jump up? I'd basically build a particle wall staircase.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even just a platform right under your feet, then it would just be a matter of legging up. It wouldn't be difficult at all.
I will absolutely do that then. Is he kind of hanging on to one arm on the rope, one arm still around Lou, trying to not die. Just kind of lets go for a moment from Lou, and as he starts to kind of swing on the rope from the side of this wall that they're hanging from, green energies just starts to crackle around the bottom of it, and it kind of bursts up in a particle wall under his feet.
How does that put you on fade?
Puts me very, very much on the fade. That is 10 over, so
Good God, man.
we're going to town.
So let's roll that up, and then basically you'll have a little walkway across this gap.
I make my astro rolls with advantage, thank God. Ooh, there we go. And
The mo-
actually, as the particle wall forms underneath him, Horus himself becomes illuminated with this green astra. It almost seems to emanate off him like as it glows, and his eyes are just streaming green astra energy as he's overwhelmed with the energy. And he doesn't even climb up off of the particle wall to climb up. He actually just floats up as the astra energy levitates him up onto the platform. Until my next turn, I have advantage on everything.
Wow.
Wow.
All right, great. Well done, sir. So that brings us back to Dakota, who's on the far side of the easy green walkway now.
Yeah, so I'm going to take full advantage of this and walk over to the other side. And yeah, I mean, well, actually, this thing is not very far away from us now. So I think I'm going to take a couple shots at this thing.
All right, you know the drill. It's an armor class 16.
All right, and that's going to be. Are you kidding me? Let's see. You said 16. Yeah, that's a 14 and a 12. So I imagine there's just a couple of ringing ping sounds of bullets ricocheting off of whatever material these platforms are made of.
Yep. So you just kind of this thing is pretty confusing to shoot at, too. This isn't like shooting at center of mass on a guy. Like these things are twitching and spiraling and running sideways that they're coming at you. So you just miss both shots. That brings us back to the captain. So you can get up effortlessly now, Lou.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. Pull up the scatter gun. I'm going to try to aim at one of these things that one of the legs of this thing. I'm going to try to take out one of its legs with the scatter gun.
All right. So if you really want to do a place shot and basically immobilize the thing, that's hard. That's disadvantage. But if you can make it, the thing will not be able to move.
I will try.
So it can be worth the penalty, but it can be hard to do.
Now I'll go with disadvantage, see if I can do it.
Okay. So armor class 16.
With disadvantage was a 15. So I missed.
Oh, so that's such a close fail. You hit the thing anyway with one shot. So do normal damage, but not the shot you were going for.
Okay.
Within one, I mean, come on, let's story mechanic that a little bit, please.
That's going to be 7 damage. As I imagine, like if this thing had a knee, whatever was like from like the knee down just took a big chunk out of it, and it just kind of buckles as he like hunches over.
Yeah, so you came literally within inches of making the shot you were going for, but you still slowed it down a little bit, probably made it a little mad, but didn't quite accomplish the effect. So that comes back around to me. So first of all, the dreaded right there. That's just horrible. And then I've got this second jump to make, so I'm 2 on my dex to jump across this gap. Oh, only 7. So the Chrysalic goes for this jump, comes up short, and kind of starts sliding down this edge right here in the gap. But these things are kind of adimensional or don't have an up direction to their body. So as he's sliding down, it would cost him his turn since he failed. But really now he's just sort of in difficult terrain. And you see him kind of adjust to the angle he's at and look to what you guys is up, catch his feet, if they are feet, and start to make his way back up. So these things are kind of used to falling and scrabbling all over the surface. But it does buy you that whole round. So that's kind of awesome that he misses that roll. That brings us all the way back to Horus.
Right. So as this thing's kind of latched onto the sides of these walls, trying to kind of make its way back up, Horus walks up towards the edge of the platform and just looking down at this thing as it climbs, just holds its hands out below it, and as red energy begins to crackle in his hand, it's going to need to make a dex save.
Oh no, are you out of your mind?
Yes.
Yes, he is.
Okay, dex save. I'm 2 on these bad boys. Oh, 9 modified. Missed again. Man, we're having the bones are evil tonight.
So that is 25 fire damage.
Good
As
grief.
another just beam of Astra rains down on this thing from above.
Well, you know what time it is. Time to roll that stinking fade.
Actually not. Plasma beam is my chosen red Astra spell, so I get a minus to the cost of it, and you gave me the extra red, so I'm actually good to go on my plasma beams. I can let them fly.
Oh, that's fantastic. So does that feel good? We're in playtest mode for a second. Does that feel like a natural evolution to the character, or do I feel like you have infinite ammo now?
Honestly, it feels kind of like I have infinite ammo. It's a little crazy.
Okay, well then we'll just follow the Will Wheaton rule, so just don't be a dick.
But the dice hate. Wait.
I'm at 14 fade already anyways. I think I'm doing okay on the fade.
Yeah,
But the dice hate us, so it all evens out.
Yeah, I honestly, the word overpowered doesn't really apply to what I see happening here. This is like one jewel at a time. All right, great. Awesome. So you're ripping a new one once again. And we come back around to Miss Raven.
So this thing is kind of caught down between these platforms. How far below me is it?
It's a move down there. So, about 20 feet-ish.
Okay, so only bullets will reach it, not my sword.
No, if it was within sword length, it would be whipping at you.
Oh, yeah, never mind. 20 feet's good. My bullets definitely will work shooting downward at it. I'm going to use my bonus action to reload. Let's see, 6, 11. I gotta make sure I still got some ammo here. I'm starting to get a little low as I reload. I'm noticing the number of empty slots in my ammo belt is starting to approach to equal the number of bullets that I have left. As I load another five rounds into this gun, and I'm going to take 2 shots, just aiming straight down at this thing. And the first shot, I'm actually going to I'm going to double tap it.
Nice. So you take the one fade and go for it.
Yeah, so let's see how that works out for me. That is modified. That is a 17.
That's a hit.
So let's see if this damage die will actually work better for me this time. Yeah, it's a 2 this time. So that's 10. Oh, wait, that's Astra fueled. I get a little more, so that's 4. So that's 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, let me do math. That's 4, 7, 14. There we go. 14 total damage from the first shot.
Yeah, that's your biggest hit of the night.
And that expended 2 bullets.
Nice.
That one shot.
Blow a hole right in that carapace, as you are wont to do.
And the next shot is a 18 modified.
That's a hit. Do 14.
And that is going
to shot.
That is going to do 14
Oh!
points of damage. I got an 8 and then the 3 on my Astra plus 3, so 14.
So you blast this thing into oblivion. What does it look like?
I imagine just a shower of this black ichor almost spraying upward like a fountain as pieces, and I see tentacles just kind of going in every direction, writhing like somebody just opened a bag of snakes.
like the peanut can snakes?
Sure. I wasn't even thinking of that.
Dear Lord. Does this always happen? Outstanding. So you just Robin Hood the bullet hole with another bullet hole. So mark yourself down some inspiration for that gunshot.
All right.
That's how Treaders do it up in Bastion right there. And that brings us back around to ye old captain. That's Captain Lou Reeves. What'll it be?
First thing he's going to do is take the gun and do his bonus action to reload. And I think he's the same as before. He's going to kind of try to lead the way and jump to the next thing.
All right, now you're a little more familiar with this leap by now, so make the same attempt with advantage now. You're not just like bowling into it this time.
I also changed dice, so we'll see how that goes.
Okay, still sitting on a 15. Let's get that unicorn poop working.
It's going to be a 21.
Nice. Okay, so you jump across and barely land it. And I click down 1. And with that, let's take a quick 5-minute bio break before we reach the far end of this chamber. Does that sound good?
Sure.
Fantastic.
Okay. We'll be right back then. Hey everyone, it's Hanker and Fernale here. For everybody joining, glad you can make it tonight. Having a great time playing Harbinger with these awesome players. And having a beer, of course, because life. So, you guys probably saw the 3D print of Murph that Cyrus Draken was good enough to get printed out and refined and assembled. It's right here. Look at that cool little dude. So make sure you throw a comment up on the stream, and when the dust settles and we awaken in a stupor of post-game euphoria tomorrow, I will randomly pick one of those comments, and I'll get in touch with you, and you will be the recipient of this awesome little, I wouldn't even call this a miniature. This is a desktop statue. So it's kind of, you can see how it's in pieces like that. Can actually remove this arm, and we were thinking about making some other arms and stuff. It's going to be awesome. So thanks for watching, everybody. That'll be great. Really
That's
nice
awesome
to be here playing Harbinger. Make sure you go check out everybody's channels and push all the cool buttons and, like, you know, live, man. So we're going to get back into this in a few minutes. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Harbinger's a blast. In case you don't know, it's really just Absolute Tabletop's science fiction D&D 5th edition rule set, and it is in its very earliest stages. I think that's why it's so damn fun to play. It's also cool because we're kind of spinning the sci-fi thing on its ear a little bit by trying to keep it in a dungeon-y feel, and I think that's the magic of the game, is not to get, there's a lot of cool space games, but I think the flash of brilliance that has come our way that has made this group particularly awesome is A, we're homies, we seem to get along, we're good peoples, and B, there's something magic about this particular treatment of the subject matter. So I've been super excited just to sort of participate. I don't know where this is going. I don't care. It's just awesome. So yeah, and we got ourselves neck deep already. We haven't even really, I'll tell you, nothing worse than jumping across a gap.
Yeah, and everything just went to hell with that jump.
There's no more pink dice. They've been put away.
Okay. And with that, we move into chapter 2. So jumping back in, Captain. Oh, no pun intended there. Captain Reeves has leaped across the gap and is in striking distance of this triangular opening at the far end of this space. I wouldn't really call it a room because these aren't intended for human occupation, but he is staring it down with his two crewmates right behind him. And you guys seem to be just sort of barreling forward out of pure survival. My timer just clicked down 1, which is a little bit meta, but hey, that's okay. We're all gamers here. And that brings us all the way back to Horace, who is still scrabbling up from the crazy energy green walkway gap crosser spell. So what'll it be, Manser?
Yeah, so as Horace kind of uses the has used the particle wall and the rush of green Astra to carry himself onto the platform with a new sense of renewal, seeing Lou successfully make it across the gap this time, can't help but give it a go himself as he sprints towards it, and he's gonna get a 16.
Hey, there you go. Makes it across. Great. All right. That brings us back to Dakota.
I just kind of glanced back at the previous green walkway and just kind of look over at Horace in this new gap and just kind of give him like a really as I'm going to leap over this gap, I guess.
Still rolling a 15 with a dex. And there are two, I think there are 2 inspirations on the table too, so don't forget those.
Can I use acrobatics?
Definitely.
Because that gets me a 15.
There you go. They don't call it scrapple for nothing. It's freaking delicious. All right, so you make it across. As you guys all come into view of this, I guess you could call it an exit, but it's more like an opening. You do see that behind you, way back here, another one of these creatures is coming up the wall there. And Reeves, that comes to your turn.
How far away is that opening?
Well, we're to scale here, so, 4 or 5 feet.
Okay. And can I see what's through it?
You can. And as you look, we'll go to our next chapter. So Reeves, you're right here at the sort of the front of the group, if I'm to understand. You come through this triangular doorway into another one of these sort of nonsensical chambers with these odd, why would you ever put a zigzag in a path? I don't need that extra effort in my life. It's because they're not paths. They're structural struts that you're walking on. But off to the right, something extremely strange. You actually see a wood-burning stove sitting on one of these metal stone etched struts. And there are 3 chairs around this wood-burning stove, old wooden chairs, like when you used to go visit your grandpa back on Carr and go swamp shooting. They're the old chairs like that. And in them, there is a figure sitting in front of the stove. But from this distance, without a closer look, you're not quite sure. And you can still hear that movement behind you. So what will you do with your time?
I would, first thing I would do is throw another spheroid out, but this time a spheroid covered in red Astra, a targeting spheroid. And I would give that to Raven, to Miss Dakota Raven. So her next attack, she will be able to roll a D8 to whatever she rolls.
Awesome. And I think we had a medical one still on Horace, right, to be used.
Yes, although during the break I looked at that as this is a playtest. I wasn't familiar. It actually has to be used when I deploy it.
Aha.
It cannot be saved for later. Jeff looks really confused, so you might want to look that up. But I just read it. So yeah, basically for the next round of action, they get to utilize those spheroids. After that, I think they just kind of fade away.
I see. So it's more like a bard spell than it is like an expendable consumable.
Right. And each time I throw out a spheroid, I get 1 fade. So I'm at 4 now. So I'm at my just below my limit now. Okay.
Great. So targeting spheroid on Dakota. All right. So that was Captain. That comes around to me.
Actually, Hank, one other thing, I apologize. I was reading what Jeff just put in there. And I'm also going to go behind them with the scattergun and just aim at this thing. And when it gets close enough, I will fire.
Oh, awesome. Okay, cool. So it's in range if you wanted to shoot now, but it isn't really coming at you yet. It's sort of on its approach. I don't think it's really located you yet. If you wanted to take a shot, if I'm correct, a scattergun doesn't have that terrible of range.
It's like 40 feet. And no, if it doesn't see us yet, I'm just going to make sure that I cover their back as they go through.
Okay, yeah. So a conventional shot for you on these grids would be 8 clicks. So you can gauge that as you choose. So it would be probably just outside that. So yeah, it'd be a bit of a tough shot. So you'll just hold.
Yes, I'll just hold. And it was just confirmed by Matt in the chat that actually the spheroids are for 10 minutes.
Okay, great. So it is like a little bit that I can keep and use when I need it.
Right. Sorry about that, guys. I just switched to Mechanist an hour before the game.
No, I think this is the class that really needs to come together. Every game we've played, it's been a little bit different. So I think it just goes to show that the answers aren't easy.
Right.
Okay, great. So that was Reeves. On my turn, my counter comes down, but I don't really believe in going back to previous maps. So who knows what's going on back there? And that one coming up the wall does make top fall. Like it sort of reaches the surface level that you guys are at. So these things are not smart though. So I'm -2 on this, and it's just going to try to spot you guys. And 15 is still the room. It's nasty. Yeah, so that's a mod 7. So you see it come up, and you've got your scattergun lined up like, but it's just twitching and looking around and can't locate you guys. And that brings it back around to Horace.
Horace kind of seeing this strange wood stove and the wooden chairs and some sort of figure sitting in, can't help but almost be taken out of the moment for a second. And unless somebody were to stop him, he would kind of slowly start making his way over in that direction, trying to see what the heck this is doing here.
Great. So we're going to keep it at 15. So just give me your best either perception or investigation or even just an intelligence check, whichever one you like on that 15. And let's see if you can get a closer look and puzzle it all out.
That is a modified with a 23, 18 plus 5.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. So as you look closer, you see this figure bent forward near this stove, and it's an old man. There's an old man over here sitting in this wooden chair, slowly but surely feeding sticks into this wood-burning stove, and he's humming to himself. Da 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 dee 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 do 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 da da yep up 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 do 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 da 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 da. He doesn't seem to notice you guys approaching.
I know that song.
So that's just a sort of an instant of time for you, Horace, to, basically do the old Hulk Hogan hand over the eyes motion. So what will you do with the rest of your action?
Nothing. Upon hearing the song, he is just kind of struck dumb for a moment. And he just stops and stands there and kind of like slowly turns back to Dakota with just this like strange, confused look on his face.
Okay, Raven, that goes to you then.
Can I hear the song too?
Yeah, I usually play the relay the information type rule, which is, what one man perceives, all shall know.
Okay. Because I don't imagine Horace, just the way he turned around, he didn't necessarily point it out, but drawing attention to it, she kind of picks up this indistinct direction. She picks up the sound and immediately calls out, "Murph!" I know that tune.
Well, with that, the figure rises from his chair and turns around He's like, I haven't heard that name in an age. Are you? It's my old friends. Come over here by the fire before we're all torn to pieces. Come on over. Warm yourselves. So you're not quite sure what all that means, but that is the response to your call. And with that, we go to Reeves.
Right?
I think it would kind of be like a what they say, a duck on a pond. My mind would be going a million miles an hour, but I think he would just very casually turn and just start walking towards the sound. But inside, he's going, "What the hell is going on?" Last I heard, Murph was was an android. Now she yells Murph and this old man. It's just not going together. So he would get as close to him without jumping across that chasm. And he would just be looking at him, just very kind of quizzically, just Murph, but he wouldn't do anything. Just be really confused.
As you approach and you get sort of within, that range when you're on the street and you come close enough to a person that it's polite to sort of look at them and smile rather than be a dick and look at the ground. You reach that range. And he lowers his little bundles of stick a little bit. He comes forward from his chair. He waves his hand, and a little walkway kind of comes out, forms, and clicks together in the gap between you and his little platform, making a sort of a walkway strut. And he motions you over, and he says, come on over, and you might want to be quick because I have a feeling those things will return any moment. Oh, my goodness, have I waited a long time to see you, my old friends. At last, I can rest. And with that is my go. So now this little gap right here, if you can see that little jibbly happening there. So now that's a little crossable space. And the chrysalis, which before was scrabbling up, now is coming through this entrance. And is still sort of looking behind it, trying to figure out what happened. I'm going to give it a 50-50 that it sort of backs into Dakota. So how I do 50-50 is a D6. So on the low end, it kind of backs into her and is surprised. On the high end, it turns around and has an attack. All right, nice. So it's the low end. So this thing's kind of still scanning the previous room, trying to figure out what happened back there, and comes in as this token kind of shows, kind of bumps into Dakota without really even realizing you guys have moved through this space. And for that reason, does not get an attack on that turn. So that's that nice delay that was caused when it was climbing up from earlier. The old man walks over from the chair here, comes over, extends a hand to sort of greet Reeves. And I think Horace is moving toward him too. Dakota is kind of coming up, well, right here. He says to Reeves, he says, "Oh, you look as young as ever. My name is Madsen Renfro. 7,000 years have I sat here at my stove. We keep the fires going so that the prelude will return. There are 300 of us, all volunteers. I was cascaded down through the millennia. That day I blew into vapors, thrown back in time, only to join the finest of us and give my life to keep these fires going until this very day. But you must get us out before the forge blips away. The Harbinger feeds upon the forges, and when they run, it grows near. My duty is finally done, but there are 300 souls in the memory crystal just ahead. If you can only escape, you will have 7,000 years of knowledge. If you can find homes for those souls, and maybe even a good running air conditioning unit. But I've already said too much. These are more words than I've said in the last 6,573 years. It's been a very, very long time. Now, let me give you a little something. With that, he reaches into his bundle of sticks there and rummages about. And he produces two objects. And he looks a little sort of befuddled about both of them, like he's not quite sure. But it's been a long time. He's been waiting. There are little ribbons tied on each one very delicately in little bows, and it's all been done very well, probably over and over across the centuries. And Reeves, since you're the sort of the greeter at this moment, he hands these two objects to you, and they're both ingots. They're dense little, about the size of a pack of playing cards. One of them is glowing energy, but in solid form. And it changes color every few moments. This is an Astra ingot that he hands you. The other is this mirror-like chrome, and it is duranium, which I'm hoping to kind of push into this world. It's a duranium ingot. Now, you know from some of the characters you've encountered over the years, duranium is the sort of the adamantium of the Bastion world. Just this little ingot is worth more than the honey badger times 5. This, like, never do you see this much of this in one place. And then finally he goes, there's one other thing. Where was that? Oh, yes, the spear. He goes back over to his stove. Oops, where am I? Goes back over to his stove, and what looked like just a sort of a black iron fire poker leaning there, he picks it up, and when he holds it up, the end materializes like a blue energy blade. I've been keeping this, and so far I've only lost the one arm. It's quite a weapon. You're much younger than I am by several millennia. Perhaps you can save all 300 of us. Find trash can homes for me and all my brave brothers. And let's bring the prelude back again. Let the runes live again. Oh. So, Reeves, in your possession, you have an Astra ingot, a duranium ingot, and this thing called a rune spear. And this is the first time you have ever in person seen prelude technology and touched it. And it's this etched, ancient looking blue simplicity. It's all very non-technological. And everyone in the current day of Bastion has heard these stories about the prelude and how they had this powerful rune technology, but no one's ever really seen a forge functioning. No one's ever seen a rune drive functioning, which was an interstellar drive. That's been a lost art for a long, long time. And this is from that era. So that is my go. And that brings us back to Horace with me throwing up a fresh timer, which never good when you're throwing a fresh timer and there's still a chrysalis on the screen. Horace, that's you. So we'll do the what one man knows, so shall you all. So you guys experience this exchange from where you stand.
And as much as Horace would love to sit here and look at this Astra ingot, this pure energy materialized into physical, now is not the time. There's another one of these things right on Dakota's tail, and he just kind of looks at Lou holding the ingot for a moment, and then kind of shaking his head, turning around back towards the creature. His eyes, when they open again, filled with the red energy of the Astra again, as he extends out a hand for another plasma beam. So this thing needs to dex save.
That's the Horace we know and love. So I am 2 on these. And even though I totally want to look at Horace's picture, let me make sure this dice comes up. Oh, there's a mod 21. I finally made it.
Alrighty, so
Does that give me half?
gives you half. So that's still going to be 15.
15?
That was a big one.
All right.
The fire damage as a as a spark of red breaks the conversation in the silence of Murph and Lou as just another roar of Astra streaks out from his hand towards this creature.
Awesome. Another blast. To me, this is what mages do. All right. Dakota Raven.
So conflicted, wanting to, so much emotion overwhelming me at the sight of this little old man and the words he says, and that somehow, impossibly, this is Murph, but this is also whatever this is, this tentacle thing is the more immediate thing. And seeing Horace plant this plasma beam at it kind of snaps me out of it. And gun still in hand, but with my free hand, I draw my scimitar. And as I begin to move forward to take a slice, I pop 2 rounds off, 2 shots, and then a bonus attack with the offhand weapon with the scimitar.
All right, great. Let's get those armor class 16 rolls going.
First shot is a 19.
There's a hit.
Second shot is only 14.
All right,
so
what?
First shot is going to be 11, infused with red Astra. And then I'm going to take my bonus attack to slice this scimitar into whatever looks like a nice sliceable piece of it. And I'm going to... I need to get a what?
16.
Let's see. 2 plus 6 is 8. All right, I'm going to use this targeting spheroid.
Hey, there we go.
To guide my hand and see if we can... I did it! That's an 8 on the die. That brings it to 16. I need my own dice camera.
Nice. All right, give me another piece of damage.
So then that, as I slice into it, is going to be... You got to be kidding me. Well, it's a 5. I get a +4 on that attack. I'm going to roll the 1 on the damage die. So
got it.
Another 5 to it.
All right, nicely done.
Oh no, I don't take any more fade. Never mind.
Okay, so you're locked in mortal combat with this Chrysalic thing, and now you're getting a sort of a closer view of this than you would honestly prefer. And a lot of the etchings and the patterns in the hulls or the carapaces of these creatures is remarkably similar to all the carvings and markings in the floors and the walls and the struts of this structure. They're definitely related in some way. There's some kind of link that's probably left better to scholars than you, but something shared here. Very, very weird. Okay, that is Dakota, and we finally come around to the old captain.
How far is Dakota from Lou right now?
Looks like 6 clicks or so. 5 clicks.
So we're looking about 25 feet?
Yep.
Okay. How far could I throw this spear so that she could catch it?
Easily that far.
Then that's what I want to want to do it with my action. Along with I want to take the spear and I want to throw it not pointy end towards him, but so that he can grab it kind of like out of the air. With that one hand I want to do that, and then I want to throw another targeting spheroid with it as my bonus action, so he can attempt to grab this thing and then have that spheroid to use when he needs it as well.
It's like a double quarterback kind of a move.
Yeah.
So let's just keep it good old fashioned with you can either use a ranged attack or just a dex roll. I don't know if you have one better than the other. Probably not.
No, it's double.
Let's just do a dex roll, and since you're throwing to an ally, do it with advantage. So it's a hut type move.
Okay.
15.
21.
Excellent. So you guys kind of do this like relay race style toss, right? Is that what you're imagining?
Yeah, I'm kind of imagining that, he sees this creature come up behind her, and he sees this small kind of scimitar in her hand, and he looks at this weapon that he knows is powerful, that he knows would give her an advantage, and his first thought is, he has to protect his crew. So without thinking, he's just going to scream, Raven, grab this, and just toss it.
Nice. And with a roll that good, it just goes right into her free hand. No problem. It's a good floaty toss. It doesn't spin too much. And the sphere accompanies it. And there's the third inspiration for the night. So mark that one down. And all three of you should be sitting on inspiration now. Well done. Awesome play. And that brings it around to my go. So let me just click this 3 down to a 2. And then I'm back in combat range. And I've got 2 attacks here. So it's just me and Dakota locked in Mortal Kombat. I've got 6 on these rolls. So here's the first whip. That's a 13. Does that hit, Dakota?
Let's see. My AC is a 14.
All right, miss. Oh, double 13s. Good grief. Can I get a break over here and kill somebody? So both whip attacks come out and fall short. My little timer clicks down, and I am not as deadly as I would hope to be. And we come back around to Horus.
So as kind of watching the spear get thrown over to Dakota and seeing this thing try to strike out at her, missing, almost more out of impatience for curiosity than out of any sort of protective instinct, Horus just wants this fight to be over with so we can look at these things. So he's just going to rear up another plasma beam and let him have it.
All right, so is that a dex save for me?
Yep.
All right, 2 on these bad boys. That's a mod 10. Not good for me.
All right, that's going to be 25 fire.
Good grief. So he's burning up and sizzling, but just manages to have a leg and a tentacle and a little bit of head left, and he's still scrabbling forward. Not much left of him. Man, you are a beast. A beast, I say. And that comes over to Miss Raven.
So, yeah, as Lou threw this spear, fortunately, she's pretty quick on the draw, and in reverse, I had to quickly holster my pistol to be able to grab this thing. So I'm standing there with a spear in one hand and a scimitar in the other. And this spear has a glowing blue blade. Am I correct in that?
That's right. So when it's in contact with a user, it gets a little bit longer and the end materializes a blade.
I think there's a split second where she looks at this thing in the one hand and looks at her scimitar in the other. And then there's just a metallic clatter of her scimitar hitting the floor as she takes the spear in both hands and uses it almost like a pole arm or a quarterstaff. And I'm going to take 2 melee attacks with it.
Awesome. So hit that AC 16. And geez, on this guy, after that last plasma blast, do 4 for a money shot.
That's a 15 on the first.
All right. So miss.
Trying to get the heft of this weapon.
Yeah.
So she kind of swings through, does a kind of an arc with it, and comes back with a modified 20.
Hey, there you make contact. So that's a 2d12 plus strength damage.
Holy balls. All right. 2d12.
There's only one
Plus
caveat on this thing, but you'll find that out someday, I'm sure.
Let's see. 2d12. That's a 1 on, and that's 8. So that's 9 plus strength. 13 damage.
So as you get the heft of it and spin it around without even really meaning to strike. You just lop this thing in two, and it sears the wound. And as it drops in these two big slices, it's not even capable of rejoining itself. It's just been cauterized clean, and it is down.
And I think as she finishes that cut, she would actually say, "Whoa."
Great teamwork there with the toss and the delivery. Excellent.
That
Well
was
done.
awesome.
Well done, group. So that comes back around to the captain.
I think he would see the kind of the devastation that the spear did, and he would just kind of lock eyes with Dakota really quickly and just give her kind of a nod, just well, basically, well done, just kind of a nod of whatever, you did a good job. And I think then he would kind of motion for everybody to come over to where Murph is, and maybe after all this, grab a seat and just sit down and just, all right.
Awesome. So as you do so, Murph nods, regathers his little bundle of sticks, and sort of just absentmindedly kind of waves his hand as he's walking back over to his little stove. And as he does so, that opening behind you guys, right here where Dakota is, just closes completely, just like a three-way iris, just disappears basically into the wall. And the space you're in does go quiet for a brief moment. And at that, you can take a short rest. So as you sit here in these chairs with Madsen, you can take a short rest. So whatever you guys can do as far as hit dice surges and so on and so forth with a short rest, please go ahead and do that. You can also take a closer look at this Astra ingot. Now, the duranium ingot is pretty easy to understand. This is basically enough duranium to equip an army in this tiny little piece. I mean, you could dilute this 1,000 times. You could armor a ship. You could make a dragoon set of armor with this thing. This is the treasure of Bastion right here. That's pretty easy to understand. As far as the Astra ingot, when you have time and you're not under duress of being torn to shreds, you do see this thing wants to sort of go into you. If you were to simply allow it, you could just absorb this ingot. And just because you have Horace with you, and I like to sort of use Horace as our kind of our local Astra tour guide, this is 16 burnable Astraphade in solid form. So it's kind of like a granola bar of pure Astra that could either be used in one massive dose or a tiny bit at a time. But anytime you let it get near your body, it wants to be in you. It wants to become part of you. And this is quite a little powerful object in the world of Bastion. So as you guys sit down and take a break, hey, Coop, the squirrels aren't going to kill us. All right, cool. He must have killed them. So you guys sit and take a break with Madsen Renfro there. And he tries his best to explain to you how when the ship blew apart, some kind of orange vortex opened and he saw all the years flying past, and the next thing you know, he was a baby, and then he was a grown man, and then the prelude was ending, and the day the roses fell ended the age of runes, and there was all these explosions and strange things happening, and they asked for volunteers, and he just wanted to see his friends again, and he volunteered to be a firekeeper. And then he sat here for the next 7 millennia waiting for something. They didn't even know. He tries to explain to you that he's both the robot that you know, but he's also this old man named Madsen who was born a long time ago, but he's the same. And there are more of him. There are 300 more of him, all kept in this crystal in the next chamber. And if you can get the crystal out of here, all those souls, they can find their way back into synthetic bodies or organic bodies or into dreams and help to bring the prelude back. And even though you guys, when you hear about rune technology and so forth, everyone talks about it basically with like terror. is the age of interstellar travel and folding space all ended in a massive disaster that's still not fully understood by people in your time. But to him, he believes it to be a golden age. And he's basically trying to explain to you, help bring this golden age back. There are souls with knowledge you can't imagine, but we're all kept in this crystal. We've been here for so long, just waiting for someone, anyone to come. And that is his conversation. As you're talking to him, it's probably actually Dakota can't help herself, putting the whole thing together of just, it's all one kind of, it's the soup of time and space, and what does it all mean? And she reaches over to put a hand on his old shoulder, and your hand goes right through him. And you realize is he there? Is he not there? And he blips, and there's static. And then he looks a little defeated, kind of sad. He's like, okay, you caught me. I only made it 80 years. So, as I realized I was facing the end, I set this little hologram up, and it's all I had, really. It was a way for me to face my own doom with some kind of brightness. But you're my only hope now. 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 Now. Dun, 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 dun. Then he absentmindedly just sort of goes back to his fire and continues tending it. It seems to be the end of whatever message he recorded. And with that, your short rest is concluded. And then, what will you guys do before we go back into anything crazy?
Really? How do we follow that, dude?
We never left crazy. I turned to the others. We've got to find this crystal. We've got to save all of them. And there's only one way forward that I can see.
I think Lou would take that little Astra ingot, and he would actually hand it to Horace. Just be like, maybe you can use this. But he also looks at the other ingot, the duranium. It's like, I think I'll keep this one though.
Any tactical action of any kind? Any more talking? What do you guys feel like?
I think I'm making sure that I've got my my sword I would have picked up and sheathed. I've reloaded my gun, and I'm counting and recounting my 10 remaining bullets, 5 of which are now in my gun, and 5 that are on my ammo belt. And at first, I'm kind of counting them a couple times, and I'm just like, well, I'm going to have to make these count. And I just give this spear kind of a tink tink on the ground. I think it'll be all right. I'll take point, but maybe have some of that beautiful red Astra at the ready there, Horace. And
Always
Lou, do whatever the hell it is you do.
Yeah. I'm the one who makes sure that you actually survive. So
Keep doing what you're
Anybody have
doing.
a mender or anybody throw a hit dice at a heal or any of that stuff?
I don't
hate
think
to
anybody's hurt.
I hate to say this,
Oh,
but I have
go
yet
ahead.
to take any damage.
Yeah, same.
That's insane. That's awesome. Okay, so Dakota takes point. You guys follow suit and kind of give one look back, hoping that maybe Madsen Renfro will acknowledge you, but he's back at the beginning of his recording, and he's just dutifully tending this little holographic fireplace that's some memory of a time long, long ago. Somehow a strand that connects your time and his, or what his past must be, his present. It's all very confusing. And you guys begin to move forward as the light in this corridor indicates. And you make your way into this chamber. As you come in,
bad feeling about this.
here are the three of you, if you can see over here. And you see what you see, basically. I like to let the map speak a little bit, but more of these sort of struts and structural objects. But this one definitely has an intended design, or a more understandable design. And there is this blue crystal sitting at the end of this structure. And just behind it, if you can see, here's sort of where the captain is right there. Behind this crystal, there is this triangular hole, basically in space itself. And inside of it, another series of triangles. And inside those triangles, more triangles. And inside each one, there's a snowstorm, there's a forest, there's deep space, there's a cloud, there's solid rock, there's green grass in the sunlight, all a kaleidoscope of millions of times and places, all folding into each other right behind this crystal. And as for the details of the space, you can sort of let the map speak for itself a little bit and investigate for more data. But that is what you see. And for the sake of being meta, which I love doing, I'll kick it off with that guy. And let's roll some initiative. So roll them up and let's scramble that order.
Since this is a playtest, I'm going to bring it to attention of something I forgot. The last initiative is, as a treader with the traverser ability, I get advantage on initiative. That's a 17.
Woo! So it looks like, okay, we've got Dakota. Actually, we almost inverted it. That's cool. With me up front. All right, so Dakota, that puts you in front. My turn was basically rolling that timer dice right there that you see so lovingly displayed. So Dakota, you face this sort of cognitively daunting scene, to be honest.
5, 10, 13, 20. I think that I would approach. I'm moving my mouse like you can see where I'm pointing. To right where the walkway begins to widen out, and I'm looking around. I can obviously see that there are other platforms, and I'm just kind of looking around. I'm particularly interested in this circle of what looks like runes. I don't know. Would I be able to see that at the current distance? I think that's the end of my ability to move.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, I kind of like the maps to speak for themselves.
Okay.
So you can kind of see what we as players can see. So you're not quite sure what all that is, but yeah, there's definitely a ring with these luminous runes written around it. And to get sort of useful detail, then that's going to be rolls and stuff. But the lay of the land, you can see.
Yeah. So that's I think I'm just looking at this ring of runes after kind of looking left and right at these platforms and making sure there's none of these chrysalics lurking there, hopefully. I'm just entranced by these runes and this crystal and trying to make heads or tails out of it. So, yeah, I mean, if I can do I don't know what kind of a check that is, but
it'd be really good. So I guess investigation if you have ranks in it. Otherwise, just give me an int check. And lo, gaze with dread and doom as we click this sucker to 16.
All right, so that's just going to be a straight intelligence check. That is modified to a 14.
So you look down, and there's definitely a connection between this technology and the spear technology. They're both runic. They're from the Prelude. And you've heard about this time. There's some kind of time before the current civilization. But what is it? How does it work? And what does it mean? You have no idea. Okay.
Yeah, I think I would just stand there kind of scratching my head.
Yeah, with the end of the pistol, like a boss. Okay, Captain Reeves, you see Dakota striding forward. What do you do?
I would get about halfway between, about halfway down that, about there. And I would pull a spheroid out of my pack again, but I wouldn't really activate it. I'm going to roll it on the ground towards that circle and have it, to the best of my ability, kind of like a bocce ball, go into that illuminated circle and just see if anything happens.
This will be your little bocce ball.
Okay.
Are you going this far, or are you trying to go for shuffleboard style?
Let's go shuffleboard style.
Okay, so you roll this little metal ball down here. As it goes, it reaches about this point, and some of these etchings and markings in this floor definitely illuminate with some type of reaction. What that reaction is, you don't quite understand. It's not destructive by any means. As the ball continues to roll, because you're a mechanist, you do this kind of stuff. You make it in this sort of goal circle, to use shuffleboard terms. And when it gets extremely close to this crystal object or mass right here. At that instant, the room explodes with this blue runic energy. Everybody, make a Constitution save as the energy sort of rips through you like Raiders of the Lost Ark style. Constitution on a 16.
Why in the hell did I dump Constitution?
You don't need that.
I got a 5.
That's awesome, dude. Sorry.
So we got 2 saves, and Horace dropped it.
Nope. Just.
Oh, no, I got a 5. I got a 5. I did not.
Oh, those
save.
I'm looking at old rolls.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't put mine up there yet. Yeah.
Okay, so those who made the save take 3. Those who didn't take 7. So pretty gentle on that one. So you guys kind of, what was that? Is kind of the reaction. It didn't tear you apart, but it was like, what the holy? And this spheroid is kind of just sitting down here idling next to the crystal. Hell of a, that's like a Tomb of Horrors type player who rolls a ball forward like that. That's good stuff. Doesn't always go your way, but that's very Tomb of Horrors thinking.
Remember that, Drake.
Throw a rock in the pit. See what eats the rock.
Yeah.
So that's an instantaneous action for you, Captain. Anything else?
Really, the only thing I would do is one final time I would add another one of those spheroids. I would use a hold on, we gotta find it. A defense spheroid on Raven. And that would again just kind of hover over her left shoulder to be activated when she needs it in the next 10 minutes, adding a D8 to her AC.
Awesome. Then she rolls on activation, just like
Correct.
last time.
Yep.
Great. Okay, Horace, that brings it to you finally.
So Horace begins to walk down the path, kind of grunting a little bit from this blast of energy. He actually takes a good chunk of that Astra ingot and just kind of, as he's holding the block of it in his hand, probably about close to 2/3 of it just kind of wisps away from the block, kind of rushing inside of him, kind of clearing away some of that fade. that he's racked up so far. And as he gets closer to where Dakota is, just kind of trying to examine the runes and trying to see what the heck just happened. Would Astra be an appropriate check to make here?
It's worth a try. I mean, it's kind of like asking, is this an Astra-based technology? And in that area, you're definitely competent. But this room is a daunting room. It's kind of like, you know how, like when Qui-Gon Jinn is battling Darth Maul and then they're in that stupid space that makes no sense? Like, let's go fight on the ends of some poles in a giant hangar that's on its end. It's kind of one of those spaces. So even walking along this thing, there's no handrails or anything. So it's all a little bit daunting. So as you walk forward, it's difficult to even get a good look. So let's get that Astra roll on ye old brutal 16.
And that's exactly a 16.
Oh, nice. Awesome. So you do notice that this is blue Astra coursing through these things. You've just never quite seen it done like this. In Bastion times, Astra is something channeled by people. But it seemed like in the Prelude, they found a way to channel it with inanimate objects. And that's what this whole space is doing. But exactly how it works, you're just not sure. It's a little bit out of your league. It's like walking up on hieroglyphics for the first time and understanding it's a language, but that doesn't mean you can read it. So with that, that comes back around to me. And here's the brutal reminder, speaking of pyramids, of this little guy. And he will go again with that. Oh, there's Madsen again. Hello. At that moment, up the walls of these structures, the chrysalics come crawling up around the corners and scrambling up the sides and almost defying gravity. If you are even really, I mean, in the absolute sense of things, like what surface are you even on, you kind of realize, and it's sort of a dizzying moment, kind of looking up and seeing floors above you and seeing these things running up walls, and oh, yeah, there's a dizzying instant there. And this one comes up around the corner right there on Reeves. And we have my 2 attacks. Bring it around to ye dreadful dice cam. 6 on these as the barbed whip slash out at Reeves. So I've got a 15 on the first one. Is that a hit?
Yes.
Okay. And I've got a 25 on the second one.
Yep.
Oh my God. Finally, we get some Chol action here. So I've got a 2d6 plus 4 damage. That's 13. And maximum almost.
You're a jerk.
13 plus 15. 28 damage from these tentacles ripping at you. And as they do so, one of them wraps around your neck like facehugger style. And with that, you need to make a DC 14 strength or be grappled.
Critical fail.
Oh my God. Roll again for the blunder.
How many ones is that tonight, Drake?
That was 3. 14.
Okay, good. So you are grappled by this thing. And when you are grappled, this is chill, man. This goes all the way back to 2nd edition. Now it goes around your neck, and like all the little plates on the tentacles sort of shift back one click and open, and it just sticks all these barbs in your neck. And that's going to be, I don't know why they made it a 14 grapple and a 13 con. That's kind of dumb. But anyways, it's a 13 con save or be paralyzed with poison.
12.
Oh, it's grotesque.
I can't.
So Reeves is being strangled by this thing, and then his limbs just kind of go limp, and it's just holding him. He's even got those little pointed feet, you know, like in After Dark, that movie where the mortuary all comes alive. His little toes are dangling right above the floor. in a disturbing fashion, especially for a gentleman of his stature. Holy crap. Boy, I guess it was worth the wait on the Chols. Oh, not Chols, sorry, Chryslics. There's my D&D. It's 30 years of habits coming through there. Okay. Woo. We finally have some hair on this pickle. That brings us all the way back to Dakota Raven. What'll it be, girl?
So I want to do a thing. So he's 5, 10, 15. Can I, if I move backwards towards the one that's got Lou, can I get past Horace without a problem?
You betcha, especially being a treader. You know, you ignore.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do.
You can move right through allies.
Here's what I'm going to do before I make that move, though, because that's going to be that third thing with the spear is going to be a bonus action. I'm going to use my 2 attacks. Oh, this could be all right. Let's see what happens because this could be really awesome or really awesomely bad. I'm gonna. What am I doing? I'm gonna do 2 double taps, one at each of these 2 on the far side. So I'm gonna take a double tap shot at the one on the left and a double tap shot at the one on the right for my 2 attacks.
Okay.
That's gonna incur me some Astrofade.
Yep, and still hitting an armor class 16.
Right, so that puts me 3 over. Okay, so the first one on the left, or the bottom as we're looking at the map, is going to be a 22 to hit.
Nice.
And that is going to be, these are Astra. Oh, my Astra infusion is gone now.
Short rest, yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to be 16 for the double tap. And we've seen enough. I've shot at enough of these to kind of know I'm aiming for that sweet spot. So that's going to be 16 on the one on the bottom there.
Yep, with the 2 damage being placed. Nice.
So, and that double tap 2 bullets, running low.
And then
the one up top. Now the one at the top, and let's see, that would be. I'm going to burn one of those inspiration to get advantage on this.
There you go.
Because it's as I'm aiming, it doesn't feel right. So I'm going to try again. It feels a little bit better. It's just not quite enough. That's going to be a 14 as that shot goes wild.
Yep.
But cursing, I'm going to run backwards. I'm not going to run backwards. I'm going to turn around and run towards this one that has Lou. And using my bonus action, I'm going to try to stab into it with this rune spear.
All right, do it with advantage since it's grappling captain.
They're both 11s, which modifies to an 18.
All right, hit.
And that was 2d12, you said?
Correct. Plus your strength bonus.
So that's going to be 7 plus 4, so 11 damage. And before I do this next thing, I'm going full treader here right now. But I want to roll this Astra Surge because I incurred some Astra Surge from those 2 shots. Let's see, I am 3 over, so that's rolling a D8.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be a sudden, as I'm kind of resolving all this, there's just a sudden, as a burst, just a pulse of red Astra just leaves my body and reduces my Astrofade by 2. But I'm stunned.
So is that next round you're out of the game?
Let's see. It says I am stunned until the start of my next turn.
Okay, so no reactions and stuff.
So I can't do what I was going to do. Yeah, no reactions, nothing. And I'm
still
now
huge
in
damage
cage
output for
position.
one turn.
Yeah. Well, I was about to do a whole hell of a lot more. We'll save it. We'll save it.
Yep.
If I survive.
Okay. Whoo, mama. It's getting a little spicy in here. So we've got Reeves now. So you are paralyzed. I'm not sure when you're paralyzed if there's anything to be done, but every game I play on your turn, no matter what your condition, you get a D20 roll, and if it's a 20, you snap out of it.
All
Whether
right.
you're down, whether you're grappled, whether you're poisoned, a 20 is God. So can you just bust a 20, Drake?
We'll see. Probably not with these dice.
Believe.
That was a 2.
All right, you're still dangling in this thing's grasp, and that'll bring it to Horus. Oh man.
Horace seeing Lou just kind of dangle there, and Dakota go to attack this thing, but then just freeze up from the Astra. Just grimace kind of washes over his face, and just he begins to glow, not with the normal red, but with blue, as he just unleashes this wave of blue Astra, almost not even bothering to aim it, as both Dakota and Lou.
Oh, I love that spell.
Not sure that Dakota got hurt, but both of you will heal 10 HP and reduce your fade by 1
Nice.
as you're revitalized.
Yeah, that helps.
Love it.
And reduce fade by how much? By 1?
By 1, yeah.
Puts
then
me
I'll-
down the.
And Horace will kind of inch a little bit closer to Dakota and Lou, just to kind of try to hopefully keep out of range of these other two that are about to come after him.
Man, Horace, you really have arrived as a versatile magic user there.
MVP.
All right. That comes all the way back to me. So, I hate deciding these things for enemies. So, on a 1, 2, 3, this thing's going to try to choke the life out of Reeves. And on a 4, 5, 6, it'll switch over to Dakota and try to paralyze her. All right. Good day for Reeves then. So it basically, hey, there's Madsen. So it drops Reeves and he's just completely limp and just crumples on the walkway. And it just really doesn't even move and goes for the 2 attacks on Dakota. So Dakota
I'm activating the defense sphere.
Yep.
Sphere, which I rolled a 8 again on that.
Oh my God. Okay. 15 on my first roll. That's probably a miss.
Yeah, I'm at 22 now until
second roll is 21. Modified.
That was close. I'm at 22.
Ooh, man, there's some Mechanist love right there. If you owe somebody a beer. If he lives to drink it. All right, these other 2. It's getting dirty in here.
Oh boy.
This one I'm going to call out of reach, but this one's got 2 attacks on Horus. 6 on these. It's an 11. Is that a miss? Horus, armor class?
I'm at a 12, so 13. 13.
Dirty.
That just misses.
Okay, second one is 17. That's definitely a hit. 2d6 plus 4. 12 damage from the whipping tentacles. And on that, whenever those suckers hit, you need to make that DC 14 strength or get grappled. I'm in full chill mode now. I just love that Click used old Monster Manual monsters because I know them all by heart, so it makes it so simple.
We did it. That's a 20.
There's the first one of the entire freaking night.
It is.
Maybe throw that.
So you just Wing Chun that shit to one side. Wearing a bathrobe does have its advantages. Nicely done. Nicely done. So he whips you and tears at you, but he doesn't get the face hugger effect like he did on Reeves. And that is my go. So we are all the way back to Dakota Raven. You're right in the middle of it there, woman.
And this is where I suddenly snap out of it. And I'm taking this spear. I gotta get my buddy Lou out of the tentacle grasp of this thing. So I'm gonna take a couple. Oh, it did drop him.
Yeah, remember it's fighting you now.
That's right. That's right. So he's sucking wind. So I'm gonna take a couple spear attacks at this thing. First attack is going to be a 21 to hit. And the second attack is a measly little 9.
All right, we'll roll up that first one. You've already done 18 to this guy.
That's going to be 11, 12, 13 plus 4, 17 damage with this rune spear.
Nice.
Is he still standing?
He's still standing.
I am going to action surge. Or actually it's for the Treader, the Reaver, it's relentless.
There you go.
So I get 2 more attacks. And I'm going to still until this thing goes down. So that first attack is a modified. That's 18 on the die. So that's a 25 to hit.
Nice.
And a nat 20. There it is.
There we go.
On the red die.
All right.
And
that's going to be
so
6d12.
Oh boy. All right. So the first
It's
two.
like playing Shadowrun when you're rolling 6d12.
So that's 8 on the first 2. Plus 13 is 21.
6 more.
Plus 4 is 25. So that was all 6d12.
Yeah, so you just lop this thing stem to stern, like hip to skull, like Conan the Librarian style, like with an upward slash, just make a ham sandwich out of this thing. It flies backward into the abyss and disappears. Well done.
I imagine her just standing there after a blur of spear action and then turning to face with whipping. Her hairs kind of come down in her eyes. She turns to face the other two and just kind of flips the hair out of her way and just braces for the next round.
Boom.
Oh, boom. I get a bonus attack. As a combat focused dual wield, I chose the 2-weapon fighting style, so I can add my modifier. So I can, if you'll allow it, with that last bonus action or that only bonus action, I could reach down, draw my pistol, and take a shot at one of these fools.
I'll let you do it, but it'll be disadvantage. That's not an easy thing to spin a spear, spin around, and fire. That's some freaking Bloodborne shit right there.
Are you freaking kidding me? You said disadvantage?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a critical fail.
Oh, then roll for the second one. Please don't shoot, Horace.
Oh, that was close. That's a 5.
Okay. All right, big turn for Dakota. That goes on to you, Captain. Let's see if you can get that 20 and jump the fuck up.
Let's see. 18.
Damn it. Man, paralysis is brutal. It's 1 minute.
Yeah.
It's basically you need cleanse. Is in D&D, that's the reliever. In my world, it's like anything that heals more than, say, 10, I kind of count as a cleanse. So there's a way out, but man, it's just not easy to do it on your own. That moves to Horus. By the way, you can go for the jump ups with advantage. With inspiration if you want, Drake, but that's up to you.
Yeah, but in order to do that, I need to roll 20, so I don't want to use it yet.
Okay, yeah. Yep, and that's smart. All right, Horace, it's you. You see Reeves over there gasping, sucking wind, as Jake likes to put it.
All right, so kind of stumbling back from being just absolutely thrashed by one of these things, just kind of trying to keep himself standing at this point over anything else, because he's right there on the fence too now. Just with everything he has, just his eyes and just everything around him begins to just glow red. Both his hands this time instead of just the one, and his eyes flaring with red energy, and just lines of red just scattering down his clothes and his suit. And as he holds his two hands out in front of him, just a gigantic cone of red just streaks out in every direction in front of him, just blasting off in a massive explosion of red Astra, as I'm just going to boost everything I can into this plasma beam. So it's going to be a cone now hitting both of them. And they both need dex saves, DC 15.
All right, I'm 2 on these guys, so we'll roll for the high one first. That's E. Hey, there we go. 18. Does 18 make it?
Yes.
Okay, then the low one, nat 20. Oh boy, the dice got hot. So
right.
what if I make it? What do I take, half or none?
Half.
All right, give me that
that.
damage then.
So since they both made it, one of the boosts that I did aren't going to matter, because it only works if they fail it. But half damage, they're going to take 16 apiece.
Okay, so the high one is definitely hurting. This guy, he's half blown to bits, and this guy takes his first hit.
All right, and then since I used the Astra ingot on the way in, that'll put me 2 over my fade now. So I'll go ahead and roll that real quick.
That should be an easy table for the likes of you.
That's the plan. That's D6s. Yep.
Somebody give Reeves a power bar over there.
All right, that is 2 1s with the advantage, but that'll still get me 1 on the first table is no effect. So
Okay,
nothing strange happens for this one.
outstanding. All right, and then here comes the worst part of all. That's my go. So I've got, I can't help but see that I just have 4 whips on Horus. I mean, I don't know if anybody else sees something else, but after that explosion of energy, I don't see any way around it. So we'll do top side first. He's the more injured one. That's a 12 modified.
Yes.
That's a miss.
Yes.
Another 12 modified.
It's a miss.
Okay, then we've got low baller who's less injured. Look at that. Another freaking 6. Another miss, and the final attack.
Oh my word.
Let's go for the plunder on the Chrysalic. Okay, got a 12. So, holy crap, your life just flashed before your eyes right there. Like, you're just in like a top ramen of tentacles as they're whipping around you and like pulling off little bits of hair and kind of messing up your clothes. Like, dear Lord, what just happened? That is insane. I can't believe how bad I'm doing with these things. But that's it. I'm done. That's done for me. And that comes back to the beginning, and that is Dakota Raven.
Not knowing what's going to happen, just knowing that we've got to get rid of these things. I start sprinting, juking around Horus real quick. And as I get in front of him, I drop to my knees in a power slide. And I'm going to spin the spear around, trying to attack each one of these as I slide through them. But as I'm sliding and before I'm attacking, I'm going to use my bonus action to channel red Astra into this blue Astra spear thing and just hope it doesn't blow up in my hands. So that's just a bonus action to have it just red Astra just from my hands and begins to wend its way up the spear.
And then you just have 2 attacks, 1 on each side. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm dropping to my knees, sliding through, and I'm just gonna once on the one on the top, and as just follow through and come through on the one on the bottom.
All right, let's get two rolls on 16s and get her done.
The one on the top is a it's a 14.
That's a miss. So you
Cuts clean
spin
through the
around,
air.
coming toward the other one.
Gives me with no resistance. I should have some. Ooh, there it is again. A nat 20 on this die. And I'm rolling for damage. I'm rolling 2d12 and a d6. So that's going to be 4d12 and 2d6, correct?
You betcha. Why not?
So
I mean,
that's
when you're
going to
on
be
fire, you might as well burn.
the first 2d12 is 21. Plus the d6 is 24. And then roll those puppies again. That is 25. So that's 49. Plus 4
Good grief.
is 53 on that one.
You just Naruto'd his ass. Good Lord.
Oh my
20s.
gosh.
If only you guys could heal with the power that you kill.
Right. All while sliding on my knees across this alien tiled floor.
Absolutely brutal. Awesome attack. So you slice this thing again right in two, and you're like, damn, these Prelude dudes really know how to build stuff. And the chunks drift down into the distance, into the gas far down below. Well done. You're a killing machine. All right, Captain. Do you have what it takes to remember the face of your father?
Probably not. Nope. That was a 10.
All right. So he's still over there kibitzing. And that comes back to Horace then. Dang, paralysis is absolutely brutal.
All right. So if I were to step away from this thing, I guess if we can meta talk, do you do opportunity attacks and things like that in this situation?
I mean, when there's more than one target engaging, I won't do his full ability, so I would just do one of them, yeah. But since you're right there and you just had that whole storm of tentacles around you, yeah, there's a chance of one whip catching you.
Yeah, I'll just stand my ground then. It's not worth it. So just kind of from where he's standing, just as the red kind of still going through the air and kind of smoking off, and then the blue from the spear just melting one of these things. Horace kind of kneels back away from the creature, and just another wave of blue just washes over him, and then kind of goes along the ground and rushing over to Lou as well. He's gonna boost another revitalize.
There you go. So do more than 10 and you'll cleanse Reeves.
It's 8 healing each.
I mean, no pressure or anything, but get somebody back in the game.
Yeah, that's 8 total between the two of us. But Lou does get a fade decreased. But yeah,
and he still gets the healing.
Yeah. So 8 a person, and then Lou will lose a fade.
When I do wake up, I'm going to feel so refreshed. I'm just saying.
Gonna do that Toyota jump.
Did I get the fade reduced too, Jeff?
No, because I was using
Or was
the
that
second
targeted?
target on me.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, so I healed myself and Lou.
Okay, so I'm gonna choose target here. We're gonna do 1, 2, 3 Dakota, 4, 5, 6 Horace. Dakota takes it. Oh wait, I gotta stay on dice cam. Okay, there we go. So 2 attacks on Dakota. First one, 8, miss. Hey, wrong button. There you go. Second one. Oh, nice. That's a 23 modded. That's got to be a hit.
Oh, that's definitely a hit.
Okay. 2d6 plus 4. You know the drill. Nice. 15 damage.
Ooh.
And then give me that 14 strength for the grapple and pray.
Here we go. Let's see what happens. Do my own modified dice cam here. Oh, come on. It was a 20 and it rolled off onto a 4. That's a 5.
Okay, so he wraps it around your neck, squeezes, and then here's your con save on a 13. It's going to get real lonely real quick.
That is a 17 with a +0 modifier to
Okay.
17 on the con save.
So you basically hawk up a poison loogie and spit it in its face and manage to fight it off. But you're still grappled. So the thing's got you by the neck, basically. But it won't engage other targets. It's going to continually try to paralyze you until it succeeds or gets pissed or blown to bits. Man, you guys are brute forcing this sucker. All right. That was my go, and we are all the way back to Dakota Raven. So it's a strength check on your turn if you want to try to break free.
Is that my action, or can I choose to stay grappled and try to stab it with a spear that's in my hand?
If you could, it would be disadvantage because, man, that sounds difficult.
I agree. I think she would. I think she would try to break free at least this first time.
Okay, let's do that. 14 then.
That is a 16 +1, 17.
There you go. Bloop. You're free, so no worry about the paralysis. And that's your action. So you're spending like 10 seconds just fighting this thing off, like in the Blob. Anyway. Okay, Reeves. Do you have what it takes?
Lou.
19.
Ah.
You know what? I'll use the inspiration. Let's see.
Get better than a 10 on your second roll, and we're going to get you up.
2.
Don't tell me you rolled it. Say if you rolled a
Come on, I
freaking
gave
9.
you Willy Wonka there.
It's a 2.
Drake,
I'm not making it
Drake
up.
he ate his golden ticket.
Yeah, it's just bad. Well,
Oh,
guys,
man.
it was a really fun game for a minute.
Then I got chewed. Oh man, priests are awesome in retrospect.
It's like I'm DMing, but not really.
It's like spectating a Quake PvP match.
There you go.
Yeah, I really think like paralysis on a D4 timer would be way cooler. So we're gonna hold, since these were the rules we were given. We're given chules. All right, Horace. Tag your man. What's up?
All right. Horace is sick of this thing. He's gonna blow it to shreds. So I'm gonna need a dex save.
The rage. The unbridled rage. I made it. 21. He's near half, so you've kind of beat the crap out of him.
All right, so it's gonna be 14 fire then.
All right.
Take half. That's another just stream of red just blasting out forward into this creature again.
All right, it's all the way back to me. I'm going to do the same choice. 1, 2, 3, Dakota. 4, 5, 6, Horace. Looks like a 6. First attack on Horace. 13. Is that a hit?
That exactly hits.
All right. Second attack. Oh, is a 18. That's definitely a hit. It's 46 plus 8. 11. 13 plus 8. 21 damage. And then I need you to make the dirty save.
No,
Man, 3 of these things. Brutal.
Nope, I'm down.
So save 14 on grapple.
I'm down.
Oh, you dropped.
I'm dead. Well, not dead, but I'm down.
Oh. There you go. Now you have to look weird. Oh, man, you're worse off than Reeves in some ways.
Doubtful.
Okay, so we'll get you started on death saves next round. And that comes back to Dakota.
I'm just looking at my now 2 companions that are lying on the deck.
Yeah,
and wishing we had a medic and realizing our medic's the one that's down on the deck.
All that aggression.
And I am straight up just going to try to drive this Astra-infused blue rune spear into this bug's.
All right, you've got a 19 money shot here. If you can do 19 damage.
Well, let's see if I can hit it first. So that first, distracted by Horus going down, that's only a 12 on that first attack.
Do not miss. Do not miss.
I'm going to refocus on this thing. That is an 18 to hit.
Oh, shit. You better finish the job right here.
So that is, where'd my D12s go? 2D12 and a D6 for the Astra infusion. Come on, D12s, be good to me. Be good to me. Are you freaking kidding me? That's a 9. Those are 2 1s on the damage die.
9
oh,
total?
Wait, no. That's, well, 13 with the modifier.
Short by 6. That could cost the lives of 300 people. And the dawning of a new age.
I've still got a lot of HP, so we'll see what happens.
Holy shit balls.
Oh, I don't care if it's at disadvantage, but I've still got that bonus round, that bonus attack, and I've still got 5 bullets left.
Now, is that just all the time? Yeah, because you're 5th level.
Yeah, 5th level, extra attack, bonus attack, dual wielder.
Well, get it done.
However, being true to what I've got on my sheet here, she would raise the draw this pistol out from her holster, raise it up under what she believes to be the chin of this thing, pull the trigger, and all you're going to hear is click because I forgot to reload it. I have 5 bullets left, and they're in my ammo belt.
Oh my goodness. Well, I appreciate the epicness of your honesty. All right, Reeves. The world rests
bonus action to reload
20
too,
roll
so.
right here.
Come on. Lou.
17.
Ah.
Has it been 10
Horus,
rounds yet?
let's get a death save.
Yep.
There's still a narrow chance.
Come on, Horus.
It's a fail. We're 1 down.
All right, 1 fail.
You guys are killing me, literally.
Okay, time for these dirty rolls. So the chul goes in, not the chul, damn it, the chrylisk. The chrysalis goes in on Dakota. First one is a 17 modded.
Yep.
Second one is a 19.
Yeah, those are both hits.
Dear Lord. 2, 3, 8. 11 plus 8. 19. Are you up?
I'm still up.
Okay, now we got the 14 grapple.
So that was 19 damage.
19 damage.
Yeah,
Now you
I'm
got
still.
stinky 14 grapple. Dear Lord, everything's hanging on one
Where's
freaking
that?
roll, basically.
Yeah, where is? Oh, there's my good D20. All right, come on, D20. Be good to me. Oh, what do I need?
14 to fend off the grapple.
All right, it spun over here, but it's a 13, and I have a +1 on my strength. I have a 14 on the save. Oh my gosh.
I can't. You can't go on.
That's just too close. That's just too close.
I'm getting off the bus. I didn't bargain for this. Okay, that was my turn. Dakota, you're up. This thing is chopped to bits, basically. You got two men down.
The only thing I can do is take 2 shots at this thing or 2 swipes at this thing with this rune spear.
Finish it.
That is so close. That is a 19 modified to 26 on the first attack.
Do 6 damage.
And an 18 on the other. So both are hits. The first slice does a whopping 26 points of damage.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the thing is ripped to shreds. Good Lord. As it tumbles down into the abyss, the seconds unwind a little bit there. You guys manage to stabilize Horus, and your minute winds out, Reeves. Finally, you're up. If you're above 0 hit points, that is.
Yeah.
So, unless you guys can get some healing on Horus, he'll be unconscious but stable.
I will throw out a spheroid, a healing spheroid to him. He can roll a d8 and get those hit points back immediately.
Nice.
2 HP, but we're up.
For the record, while he's doing that, I'm reloading the last 5 bullets into my gun.
I would probably throw out 2 more spheroids as well if we're out of combat, just to get everyone healed up.
Yep.
And I'm going to roll to see what, because I'd be 4 over my fate at that point. Okay. Basically, my next damage roll will make it 1 die increment higher, so it grants me energy from within. So it's actually a good thing.
Nice.
That's a D8 from the healing spheroid.
Yeah.
And I rolled a 1 on the D8.
So everybody
So I
comes
feel
up
slightly
a little bit. And you guys are faced with this situation. A final challenge to overcome. So you guys can work together in whatever order you find useful, but I think you know the challenge ahead.
I think that Lou would kind of look and he goes, guys, there's 3 spheres. There's 3 circles. There's 3 of us. It can't be a coincidence. I'll go over to one. Dakota, you go in the other. Horace, you go up the middle. You're the one that knows the most about this stuff. And maybe then we pray a little bit.
You guys comply with this plan?
It's better than what I got, so you better be right, Lou.
I'm right, or we're dead.
After the 2 of them are on their respective circles, Horus will, with just like eyes and fists clenched and everything else clenched, walk into the middle circle.
Everything else is clenched. I'm going to need a constitution to clench everything else. Nice one, Reeves. Very well done. It's nice to have you back in the game here.
Yeah.
So Horus moves forward, sort of tiptoeing, seeing what happened before. And as he steps forward, the same effect for a brief moment flashes, but instead of a destructive effect, it sort of finds its roots in each little circle, courses through all of them, and this structure in front of Horus sort of deactivates. And the crystal comes free and rests there on the floor. And all of this sort of blue energy starts to sort of ramp downward. But this triangular gateway that's in front of you that you guys noticed earlier before all hell broke loose, it folds closed on itself into a sort of series of little runic messages, which you don't fully understand. But it looks like what you're pretty familiar with is just some sort of transmission data. And you can feel it. Something in this structure has changed. And as it's changed, the shapes around you and down below you and above you start to move and reconfigure. And as that happens, for the last time, oh, there you go. Excellent. There's 4 on my death dice. So you can feel, oh wait, there's a few moments before this fully comes together, but this whole thing is sort of changing shape now. But you can reach this crystal without any impediment anymore. So Horace, you're kind of on deck.
Now Horace just kind of going down onto one knee, kind of looking at this crystal on the ground. Just kind of reaches forward, just kind of first kind of touching it just with a finger, just to kind of see if anything happens. And if nothing else happened, would just grab it fully in his hand and stand.
So as you grab it, I mean, it is definitely, it's like, you know, grabbing a sort of an infinity stone type object. Like it is humming with power. And upon, you know, nose to nose inspection of it, there is this experience of seeing way down into it. And you can sort of hear all these muffled voices down inside this thing. But the moment that you pick it up, all 3 of you on the whisper, there's kind of a, you've done it, my friends. Unfortunately, you'll all be dead in a moment. Get out quickly before the whole thing blinks. We've sent a message that can't be unsent. Go, my friends, go finish the job. Find us more trash cans. And that was Horace. So you two?
We need to get the hell out of here.
Yeah. I think Lou is just, he's still coming to, you know, from his paralysis, and he's just, I think he would kind of just do what, just kind of follow what the other 2 do at this point. This is all a little bit too much for him. He doesn't really understand what happened beforehand. You know, he wasn't part of that game. He was on a different moon. So I think at this point he would just be really confused and really just trash cans, blink, what message, and just not know.
Dakota?
I think I would jump back over and immediately, why are you just standing here? Let's go. And kind of start running down that gangway the way we came. We've got to get back to the ship.
So Horace grabs this crystal. You guys dash across these platforms as they're all starting to sort of fold inward and shift change and move. You're like, what? Actually, isn't our ship wrecked? Didn't we banana peel that thing? As you're running back toward the ship, if you remember, you kind of came through this narrow opening in the outer edge of this object. And as you sort of find your feet, dash out there, the whole place is kind of twisting and turning on you. See, where's my button? As you find your way back out, you can imagine yourself in one of these tiny little crannies on the side of this thing. And as you look back out into the ammonia clouds, you come running out, and there's a sort of a blip, a confusing moment. And you are no longer in the ammonia clouds. It's these blue skies stretching out forever in front of you. There's no sound. There's no thrust. There was no sudden jolt. There was nothing. It's just now there's these beautiful blue skies, and the pointy tip of this object, which before was this kind of freakish hovering mass, is now lodged in this huge grassy field. And you see this beautiful verdant landscape all around you, and there are seagulls flying past the object. And in the distance, you can see an ocean waving up against the grassy landscape up on the beach. And you're all just standing there dumbstruck in the crack of this object. And that is the conclusion of this evening. This, my friends, was The Soul of Stars, an experiment in transcendental time, brought to you by the Harbinger playtest and these three fine players who spent most of their time half dead, frightened, running away, and being all around awesome. So let's get a sign off. Does anybody have, I love, like in Bonanza, there's a moment where they show each character and they have a sort of a quintessential response moment at the final scene to last us until the next chapter, if there is one. So, Jake, why don't you go first? Miss Dakota Raven, our treader, what's your response as you gaze out on this baffling landscape?
I think she was running full tilt, the spear in hand, and her gun drawn, and expecting to possibly have to fight her way back to the ship. And when this happens and there's just a sudden shift and they're in this beautiful landscape, I think she would just throw back her head and start laughing. like she's seen everything. I think she's just, it ends on her just almost hysterically, but not quite. Just like, she's seen some shit. So it's not enough to push her over the edge, but yeah, that's her reaction to this.
Awesome. All right, Horace, our Astra-addicted Mancer, who's definitely been leveling up in recent times.
Yeah, almost in kind of a juxtaposition to Dakota, as Dakota's kind of laughing at the just bizarreness of it. Horace almost unaffected by the strange, beautiful landscape that's just unfolded. Just kind of, in one hand, has the crystal, feeling that rush of energy that's pulsing out of it. Just kind of looks into it, that kind of deep, almost looking into forever, all in his hand. And just as his other fist is just kind of clenched, just a couple small strands of orange Astra come out of it and then stop.
Ooh.
Oh boy. And the indomitable, the almost dead, the momentarily benched, the RG3 of our game this evening, Captain Lou Reeves.
I think Lou would kind of be the last one out, make sure that his crew got out, and he would look at this beautiful, as you said, verdant, scene, and he would kind of look at Dakota laughing and kind of notice the orange Astra coming off of Horace, and he would put his hand into his pocket, and he would take his sunglasses and he would put them back on, and then he would reach into his back pocket where he had put that duranium ingot, and you would just see this big smile come across his face as he starts tapping it with his hand and just nodding.
Yeah, very Yondu kind of ending. Absolutely fantastic. Great to play with you guys tonight. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. It's been an awesome night. I think we are all pooped out and ready for a extra beer and take our shoes off, maybe even our pants. So thanks you guys for playing. Thanks everybody for watching. And hopefully we'll see you next time and see what the hell's in store. Cosmic cows, I suppose. Thanks guys. It's been awesome.